I just announced. Oh, hold on. Hey, what's up, everyone? Hello, hello. We'll see people popping in. Comment if you're here. I'm not on YouTube, so I can't see it. Or well,
I'll
yeah.
watch comments. I can see
Okay.
you.
Yeah. So I just announced on you or on Instagram that I actually am officially done inking. It's this morning what I just talked to you about that I can't talk about yet. It's completely confirmed that I'm out for real. Like I'm not taking more inking work. I turned down a job. I turned down a second job, and it was scary.
Oh wow.
But yeah, so
Yeah, commitment.
I'm officially out. What did you say? It's like Cortez. I burned the.
Yeah, you burned your ships. Now you got no choice but to make it work.
Yeah. That's an Ingve song. Now your ships are burned. I don't know. Do you know that?
you gotta make the new world work for you. So that's the way to do it.
Yeah. So I don't. Are people showing up or what's going on with the thing? Okay, what's up, Nate? Hi, Atomic Art.
Hey guys.
We have fan art to look at first, so we'll just chit chat for a second. I wanted to catch up. We'll call this catching up with Kelsey first. So what have you been like? Because I think people, they like to know what we're up to. What can you talk about what you're working on this week?
Yeah, I'm trying to do a cover for Nora #4, Nora Saga, which you can get into Walmart. Working on Nexus series with your boy Zach and Mike Barron writing, which I'm so excited about because I'm a very big Nexus fan going way back. Yeah, and this has actually been a real great excuse to like go back and read all that old stuff. So
right.
I missed a lot. I didn't realize how much I missed. Other than that, let's see. A couple other things I can't remember actually, but I think those are the two things that are my primary focus.
Right now. You said you had a busy week. You were doing like you had three live streams you were going to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's Jack. There's this one. There's Jack on Thursdays, Jack show, and I'm interviewing Peter Samedi, I think, on Friday.
Okay.
From Alterna Comics, a good guy. Right. And I was talking to Mike Barron about interviewing him, which I can't get onto Twitter right now, so I can't really set any of this stuff up. I'm just hoping everybody just chills for a second.
What happened on Twitter for you? Do you know?
Now, I was going through my passwords, and I have like Google does a lot of passwords, and I couldn't remember which one was which, so I switched like a main hub password, and then that kind of threw me out of everything. And I'm having to, some things are set up from old emails, so I'm having to figure out the passwords for that. They're set up on old phones, so it became this huge cluster of a mess that I have to like sort out.
I had that happen a couple of years ago. I had an email account that I hadn't used in like forever, and the company that it was under finally shut it down. But the unfortunate thing was, it was like there was this chain of things that I needed, but I had to get into that account because like Google wouldn't let me like get my password because I couldn't get into the other account. It was really fucking annoying. But let me think. There was something else I was going to ask you. What was it?
Yes, I'm a boxers man.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Hunter, if you have a question, let us know, since you're doing a super chat. When I really appreciate it. I was going to say with the Jack show. So I started watching the Jack show probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. Your channel is kind of quiet to me sometimes. Like, I don't mean that in a bad way, but you know what I mean? It's like you're not super dramatic. So it's not like I don't go like, oh man, like the breaking news is going to be on Kelsey's channel. But go ahead.
Well, my channel is, I don't really do like breaking news. I always end up finding out about what's going on from other people's channels. So I'm a little late to the game. So my channel is mostly like supplemental fun. Right. You know, like when it's my turn to host Jack show, or I'll do short films. Occasionally I'll do some drawing videos, things like that. But it's mostly just for anybody that likes my stuff, you know, can see another part of my personality on that on that channel.
The Jack show gets a lot of views, and I want to compliment you guys on the Jack show because it reminds me of when I was in my late teens and maybe like in college, and you would like, I played in bands, and so I wasn't doing comics or any of that stuff. So my schedule was like completely revolved around music, and then being forced to go to college. And so I took night classes. So I had two options when I would get done with night classes, like at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, would be I could go to my friends' houses and get fucked up, like drink beer, whatever they were up to, like, but you'd have to catch up. They'd already been going for like 3 or 4 hours. So if I got there like 9:30 or 10, it was like you had to like hit the ground running. or I would go home. But the Jack Show kind of reminds me of like a really crazy public access TV show that pops up, and you're like, this is the most random comedy, but it's funny and it's dirty, and it's like it
really kind of came out of, I mean, it's the whole PC stuff where you can't say this, you can't say that, where everybody's so nervous to say things. And it's like, well, you know, most people aren't coming out of a hateful place when they're saying this or that, or just goofing around. So it was really a reaction to that, of being able to kind of unwind a little bit, especially after, you know, just everything is so tense. So it's really of like, okay, well, nobody's going to judge anybody here. We're just going to have some fun, goof off, no hard feelings. You know, we get a little raunchy on occasion. Pull it back, you know.
But there's I don't know. I grew up on like, I mean, I'm old enough to like where like Eddie Murphy, like we would get the Eddie Murphy albums, or you would go back, or you.
I had them on tape, man. I had a friend of mine that would get them on tape.
Oh my God, like Delirious and Raw, we would listen to that, and it was like, you know, he said some really messed up stuff, like there was a routine about his dad getting drunk and like beating their dog. And he would tell his kids that he would beat the dog, and it's like so wrong. But
I'm sure there's some half truths. I'm sure it's like,
but you understand that behavior is wrong, and he's making fun of the absurdity of it, and like just how messed up it's just a weird thing that like you can't joke like that now, but yet I grew up on a lot of comedy like that. Like I always think of Dice, and I go, Dice making fun of that guy. Dice wasn't that guy. That was a character that Dice created. Right. And it was like, but at one point, all of a sudden, Dice just got steamrolled by.
It's his id, you know. That's the super macho Dice that comes out, you know, in that performance. You know, it's not who he is while he's going to do the laundry. You know, he's not, you know, throwing laundry in.
I think just.
Mr. Roboto. Tomo arigato, Mr. Tomo.
Every time I want to have like lead-in music, it's always some weird song that I've heard like during the week that I go, oh, that would be like a perfect like intro song. So today I wanted to do what was it? Oh God, it's the worst song too. I hated it as a kid. It was shit. He's like an East Coast guy. I'll think of it in a second. Hunter asked. So Hunter is not a known comic book artist, but he's like an aspiring guy, and he wants to do a crowdfunded book, and he wanted to know how would he approach getting a colorist when he, you know what I mean? Like he's trying to break into self-publishing. He's trying to break into crowdfunding.
I mean, you just bust and ask. I mean, you find people that you like, that you think will work on your stuff. You get to know them, you send them your stuff and see if something gels. I recently did a call just to see who was out there who wanted to show off their stuff. And on my Twitter. So if you go to @Kelsey and scroll through the last bunch, you'll see like a whole bunch of people have posted their color work. You recently did a call for colorists as well, right? And got quite a few submissions. So they're out there. You just can't be afraid to approach people. You know, don't be afraid of hearing no. You know, maybe they are busy, they just don't see it or whatever. But you got to ask. So
I recommend to people, like I know people that want to ink or they want a pencil or whatever it is, color as well. And I say, look, I go, when you're on Instagram, you need to go beyond just like following like your idols. And like it's great to follow Capullo, it's great to follow Todd McFarlane, it's great to follow like Jim Lee or whoever. But it's like if you're trying to break in, you're gonna need a brand new peer group that is like people that are like coming in with you, and it's like, reach out. Like, you see some guy that's penciling who's starting to get pretty good or is real active on Instagram, you need to follow those people and then just talk to them and go like, hey, I'm an inker. Would you mind a couple of your pieces and we could share them, and you know, get the ball rolling with like some relationships with people that are at your stage of the game.
Hey, Kier CC says have money to pay them. That also helps.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I have some inkers that have followed me for years and years. I mean, unfortunately, I'd gone all digital at the time, but they still hung out. They still, like, you know, just in case, you know, you ever want to do anything, I'm still out here. So that's, you know, those are relationships that I've carried for a long time. You know, you've been in this business long enough. You talk to people who are generally in the same area you are coming in. You know, you get to make relationships. You know, like I have a lot of people that came into the business with me at the same time, and we developed friendships early on, and we're still hanging out today. And we still, you know, you help me out, I'll help you out. You know, it's, these relationships do matter, you know, in all things, but in comics, you know, it helps.
You end up like we've been around long enough. It's definitely, I mean, you know, like Mike Miller popped into the chat yesterday, and I've known Mike since before I broke in. But these people, and that's why it's like we've talked about this a little in private. It's not that simple as people think if you're a fan, where you go like this person is polarizing online. So like, you know what I mean? Like how people are getting categorized now. It's like, I can't go to a Comic-Con and play fucking Twitter games. These are real people that I actually know. And it's like, you know what I mean? And
I still have friends that would probably be considered an enemy of one side or another. But you know, I know the way they are. You know, the guys that are the pieces of shit, I know they're pieces of shit, and I love them, you know, despite their flaws.
Right. Yeah.
You know, but you know, it's no good playing these games. But I mean, what I was getting at about, you know, just having these relationships is I get a lot of questions about how, you know, before, in the old days when you're like, how do you get to work for Marvel or DC, for instance, I just ask, like, I'll find somebody's email and just write them. I used to find Mike Mignola's telephone number in the phone book. I contacted people any way I could. You got to hustle. Don't be afraid to hustle.
Yeah, Lee Bermejo was very, very aggressive. When he was at Wildstorm, he would definitely use sort of like the Wildstorm Rolodex and reach out to people that he was interested in learning from. And so as say like a year 1, year 2 pro, which is still like you're trying to learn a lot of shit. Like you might have been good enough to get the opportunity, but that doesn't guarantee a career. You know. So the song
you learn, you know just enough to know you don't know shit. Really. I mean,
yeah. So the intro song that I wanted to use today was Aldo Nova, Life is Just a Fantasy. I don't know why, but that was the one that popped into my head where I was like, that would be good lead-in music. So you ready to look at some Frank Teran?
Yeah, I went and tried to look up. I know a little bit about Frank because we have mutual friends.
Yeah.
But I wasn't too aware of his publishing history because he's one of these guys like an Aaron Weisenfeld, who I heard somebody talking about earlier today, who comes in, makes a huge splash. It's not really into the social game. Of course, this was before social game. A lot of these guys, and they move on for one reason or another. So there's not a whole lot of information out there, and the few interviews that did have, the links are broken, so they're gone. So I can give you all like a little insights, which I've learned. If you're going through artwork, I have kind of a list of some of the things he's done. I'm sure you're going to hit some of those.
Yeah, I grabbed the books that I sent you. That we were kind of like, you and I were both aware of his Punisher work. We were familiar with his Verotik work, but neither one of us had seen the Kazar.
You know, tomato.
Yeah, and Saber-Tooth. Like I had never seen those two comics, which we both agree. Like the Kazar issue in particular is like, holy shit! It was.
Well, they talk about, in the little history that I found. They talk about he's also worked on prominent DC series such as Green Arrow and Marvel series such as Saber-Tooth, Kazar, Spider-Man, and the Hulk. So there's a couple more in there other than Kazar and Saber-Tooth, which we just discovered. I'm not sure I know of the Spider-Man or the Hulk either.
Right. I'll definitely look for those because I mean, it's really, really fun to see him draw stuff. So those are comic book interiors that he did, or do you think that they're covers?
I don't know. Now I need to go and look because, man, discovering if they're half as good as the Kazar stuff, man, that really blew my mind.
It did mine too. I hadn't really looked at it very closely when I had sent it to you, and then as you were reacting to it, I was like, I better go look at this stuff again. And then all of a sudden, I like sort of it hit me, and I was like, oh man, okay, like this is. We were joking. We were. What's up, everyone? We were joking like we wanted to keep it like that's like the secret stash, like sort of your pocket magic. So
I was like that a lot, where there's most of the time I'll share influences freely, but there's occasionally someone that's just like, no, I'm going to keep this one to myself for a little bit longer. And but Taran is one of those guys where like I want to do that, but also I want people to know, just the magic that this guy unleashed for just a short amount of time. I mean, he's one of our unsung heroes.
Yeah. Kennedy and I were kind of talking about that yesterday, where it's like I don't have as many secrets as I once felt like I did or needed to keep, and it's like I can kind of own, like my strengths, my weaknesses, my influences, the things that I like that maybe aren't influences, or you know what I mean? Like it's like you kind of like. So mentioning.
Well, speaking of Kennedy, real quick, I just want to thank you for having him on. He was great. I mean, I really enjoyed and somebody that's talking about. He sounds like he's preparing some stuff to do crowdfunding, and he's talking about upping his social game and maybe YouTube and stuff when it gets closer to that.
Yeah,
he's set up, man. I was so impressed. He had the camera going down on his artwork. He was able to communicate with chat and talk to you and draw at the same time. Guy's a natural. He needs to get out sooner rather than later because I want to watch him draw more.
He would Twitch stream a lot, so he's got a lot of experience. Eric is a funny guy because he's very, very well spoken. He's a very, very bright guy, and but he'll always kind of downplay like, oh, I'm not that good of an artist and stuff like that. I don't mean that in like a false modesty kind of way, but it's like you are a badass and you're very well spoken, and it's nice when you can talk to an artist who can really kind of explain stuff. I've listened to the stream back a couple of times, and I thought it was really like I loved me asking him about like what's in the gear, like the things.
I don't know, bubble gum, whatever.
I know, but it's like a nerdy question that like a fan might want to ask that you might not see in like a normal interview. Like I love Mike Mignola as you do, and I'll watch any interview with Mignola, and eventually it gets a little tiny bit repetitive. It's not his fault, but you know what I mean. Like it's like. You need someone like me who's pretty random that can come up with just just goofy stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean that because you're going to get asked this stuff. I mean,
right?
Which is, I think it's hilarious, and so it's hard to tell. Most of the time, it feels very sincere, and like, what did you imagine was in those pouches, and most of the time you're just going to go, I don't know, but. Man, I love it when somebody actually has an answer.
Right. Well, we talked about Travis. If I could get Travis on at some point, I don't want to put pressure on him that way, but he would be a fascinating guy to ask about like the gear and stuff because he's so famous for like the Travis tech, we'll call it.
Oh yeah.
He had such a beautiful. There's a lot of Star Wars in his stuff, but I still would be curious of.
It's like neo retro.
Yeah,
it's like
so good. So let me go to screen share. You're gonna have to watch the chat for me now, as you know. You guys are all. I work with pros, so it's like everybody is so good at helping.
You hear that, chat? Now you're in my hands.
All right, I'm heading into Photoshop. Let's go. All right, so we're gonna go into full screen mode. It's gonna go a little bit out of order, but we're gonna look at the Blaster Kid fan art really quick first. But this is a Frank Teran piece just to get people sort of on point. So this is the first comic that I saw of Frank's stuff, which was this Punisher stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this might have been around the time I saw him too, because these covers, are kind of like they're so, especially for Punisher, which usually has him standing there holding a gun. To see this kind of dynamics in a Punisher was really something new.
So it's funny because I don't know if at the time I connected this, but this is how I saw this cover and the other Punisher cover that he did. And these two issues go back to back. So for people that want to grab these eventually, it's Punisher 94 and 95. They're like dirty Michael Golden.
Yeah, in a way. And let's talk about the colorist really did him a service here, I think, because like I was looking at this piece, or actually all of the different pieces he did for Punisher. I think it might have been the same colors. It looks like Gregory Wright, but
okay.
They have when you look at them from far away, they really it doesn't look like flat with a one airbrush tone. I mean, look at it. It looks like a painting almost.
Yep. It's beautiful.
It goes right to Frank there, Castle, Punisher. And everything is clearly delineated because of the sky color and everything. And I don't know, it's just really readable for something so messy. It's very, very readable, I think.
It is. And I mean, how many colors are on this cover? 4?
Yeah, maybe.
There's a little bit of a grad with the yellow to the green, but I mean, past that, it's like dark blue, light blue, this kind of weird, and then this, right? Is that all? That's all I'm seeing. It's pretty insane. So, okay, so let's look at the Blaster Kid fan art really quick. I have it open down here. People have been sending it in. I mean, honestly, I've probably gotten all total like 20 or 25 pieces of Blaster Kid fan art. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's been fun to see. It's been really, really neat. And
Joshua Barbour wants to know when does Blaster Kid go live?
We'll talk about that soon, because I mean, obviously you and I need to just orchestrate our schedules. But I mean, as long as people are comfortable, like I'm going to be very honest with how long it'll take for me to draw it, so that Kelsey can plan his schedule around it. And I mean, within the next 3 to 4 weeks, I should be able to tell people exactly when it will go live. But
are you hoping to have like a portion of the book done ahead of time before you?
Yeah. I mean, I have 2 things that I'm working on, as you know, but all I'm doing is penciling now. I don't have to worry about like I'm gonna get like some job from DC and that's gonna sidetrack me for a month or 2, or what I mean, things like that. It's I'm all in one lane and I'm kind of all in. It's like all I do now is draw and YouTube or Patreon, So yeah, but I mean, I'll just communicate with people and find out what they want, like I would be curious with like Shane Davis and even Dan. Did they launch their campaigns with no pages drawn, or like, you know what I mean? So if I can ask people like that, like, what did you do? That'll help.
I don't think Shane's launched just yet. I think he's
going this week.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He's been busy trying to finish the Metalman series he's been working on. So I think he's probably also working on Starlight Cats. Dan, I'm not sure, actually.
He said go ahead.
What did he say?
I heard him recently say something to the fact that he had the book laid out. He felt like it was about a third of the way done. So
I've seen a ton of artwork, which I assume is from the newest, just like cover stuff and some other artists and things like that. I mean, I love it. It's real. I love that kind of stuff. There's bullets flying everywhere. I haven't really seen that kind of stuff in a while. So I'm stoked.
Okay, so here comes the fan art. So this is from Aleska Jankovic. And this is his piece. Got the helicopter coming in. That's actually cool. Really, really cool. This would look really awesome inked too.
Yeah, I was wondering. It looks like some like grayscale stuff. Is that all done with lines?
It looks like it's all pencil. Yeah. Yep. Now, some people send different iterations of the pieces, so we may have an inked version of this too. We'll see in a second. Yeah, so again, if you're gonna send in Blaster Kid fan art, you're gonna send it to blasterkidcomic@gmail.com. And then the thing that I request is please put your name on the file so that it like this says Aleska Jankovic Blaster Kid fan art. And Blaster Kid is one word. A lot of people have been splitting it up. It's just one word. So anyway, that's not a huge deal. But yeah, if you can get your name on the file, it helps me. God, am I gonna have to seriously do this every time?
You got a lot of files.
Yeah, I have like 4 issues worth of shit open. It'll just take a sec. But I don't know if can I grab all 3? No, it won't let me. Okay, so this is Granda's piece of art. I'm trying to remember his name. I've known him online for a while. This is really, really cool.
Yeah, it's so detailed.
Cool. I apologize to everyone for putting the bullet belt on her. I know that's a thing.
Hey, Michael Golden wouldn't complain, so we shouldn't.
Right. And this is interesting. He has laced boots. So we talked about this with Kennedy yesterday. I asked him, I was like, would someone that's going to kill people have shoelaces?
I thought that was a funny question. Yeah. I don't know.
You wouldn't want your boot to come untied. That's a problem.
Well, some boots have that wraparound that covers the laces too.
Yeah.
But laces are one of those things that I hate drawing, but I love it when it works out.
I know,
it just makes it sing. Somehow it's like it makes it look like you did a lot of detail if that's the only detail you did. So people are like, "Whoa, look how detailed this is. There's boot laces."
Yeah, people always key in on that stuff. I always say feathery hair was the other one.
Feathery hair and boot laces can't go wrong. It's like edge lighting. When all else fails, edge light, in color.
This is Pete De Silva's Blaster Kid. I got this actually this morning, and I think he sent it to a different email address. If you have other email addresses for me, you still need to send it to the Blaster Kid comic one, though, please, because it's the easiest way for me to keep things organized. But yeah, this is really, really neat.
Speaking of edge lighting, look at how hot that is. She pops right out of there because of the edge lighting from the moon.
I actually like the sky and then the blue that he used on her. I think is cool. She's got these things. She's lighting up.
You're going to have to figure out what those are, Rich, because somebody's going to ask you.
I know. Right? Well, they're like there was something that I saw, and I was like, oh, you know what? It could be something like that. But it's sort of like her suit hibernates, so when she travels, it's not like a live bomb. But through a series of things that she can do, she can actually like kind of engage it. And so based on the color, we kind of talked about this, Kelsey and I, like based on the color of this is like how hot she is in terms of like actually exploding. So when you see red, it's time to run.
Yeah. No shit. Michael Hing Art said bullet belts are cool, old school trash metal vibes.
Right. Well, every comparison that I make to Blaster Kid, like when I realized that it reminded me of Escape from New York, but when I came up with the idea, it wasn't based on Escape from New York, but like that was like one where I went like, yeah, it's kind of like that world, and then you go, oh, well, it's kind of like Mad Max. The other one was, and I've never even seen the movie, but Speed. But there's
you never saw Speed?
I don't think I've ever seen the whole movie. No. But I know the basic concept is sort of like if the bus slows down, it's going to blow up.
Yeah,
right?
It's a ticking timer, one of those ticking clock stories.
Yeah, so Blaster Kid is sort of like Mad Max meets Escape from New York meets Speed.
What I love is that you're going to the extreme with environmental changes, so you can see going from one place to another very clearly by the design of the different environments that you're working on.
Yeah. So
holy moly.
This is Kier. So Kier has done, I think, 4 or 5 pieces. It's the reason it's hard for me to count is because he sends me 3 versions of it. You'll see they're probably his pencils, inks, and colors. But this turned out real nice. Really.
No fear of the bullet bolt there. Look at that.
I know. He actually, and Kier is a serviceman, so he knows bullets.
Yeah. Got the tracer rounds every other round, whatever.
Oh man, it was funny because I had to research guns for Blaster Kid, and man, some of the guns can fire so fast. It's insane how many bullets they can spit out in like a few seconds. Like in 3 seconds, they're like firing crazy shit.
I used to be obsessed with the Warthog because the plane was built around the gun.
Was it really? Wow.
It has that minigun, and most of it's a barrel for ammunition.
And here's the colors. Here's the colors for Cures. Yeah. He's not a colorist too, but he's been coloring a lot of his pieces. I mean, I don't mean it like that, but I think he had mentioned to me that he doesn't like. He just colors kind of for fun, but he does a real good job. Really good.
I think every artist, like I remember this quote from Mobius that said that he was talking about lettering, but he said that every artist should letter because it's extension of the art.
Yeah,
and I think that you should. I mean, I started as an inker. I was wanted to be a penciler, but I got in as an inker, went into coloring. I did some lettering on occasion. I've even done writing. So I think if you want to be a very complete in your field, like if your chosen field is comics, then it probably is a good idea to learn at least some of all of the disciplines. It'll make you more complete and able to communicate with those other art forms a lot better.
Yeah, and then here's his pencils for this. So he sent all 3 versions.
Very clean.
Yeah, it is clean pencils. It's interesting. So Kier might be in the chat. I think he was coming by. Do you lightbox this, Kier, or do you actually lay out on the 11x17 board? I'm always fascinated with that because I like Jim Lee would lay out on the big art board, and I'm under the impression that Mark Silvestri would lay stuff out that way. But I know many artists that work a little bit smaller, or they'll work on a scratch paper, or now digitally, and then lightbox sort of like at least something down on the board, or even print out a blue line, like your own blue line, and maybe even pencil color.
I remember doing all of this stuff, and I had the patience, I guess, even as a young man, being able to pencil it entirely, to the last detail, and then ink it meticulously, and then go in. I mean, it took days and days and days to do one piece, know, and then you get like now I don't have the patience to even, a lot of times I don't even finish it. If it's not working, I'm like, screw it. I'll throw it in a drawer. Right. Start over.
So this is Odin Dasco, and he did I really like this a lot too.
Good foreshortening.
Yeah, I like the look of her. It's I've talked to Kelsey about this. Like her hairstyle was something that I made up a long time ago, and that hairstyle has not aged well. I still think it's a cool hairstyle. I don't think it's very like has nothing to do with this piece. I'm just saying that like it's one of those things where I'm fighting with that, where yeah,
you're gonna have to
it's a very generic dystopian bad girl haircut, Yeah,
you're gonna have to nail it down soon, because if it goes on too long, people are not gonna recognize the final version. Right. They're gonna be like, "What? These are the ones."
I have the hairstyle, and it's a nice evolution of this. Honestly, a lot of my original drawings of her, she actually had a shaved head. Like they had completely dehumanized her, and like just took it away, So, but yeah, this is really great. And again, it's funny because like what you were saying about the hairstyle, it's the same thing with the bullet belt. It's like you throw it on once, or you throw on the sword, and it's like you better put that freaking sword, or people are gonna be mad.
Yeah.
Like, here's your sword. You're like, oh shit, okay, sorry. So let's get to Taran now. Let's do this. All right. Yeah. Someone will put in the comments section, go to 2733 for Frank Teran. These dicks lagged. So all right,
no, man, you got to build up to it. Proper, right. Okay, proper building.
Oh, and here's the other cover that we were talking about.
Again, the colors, man.
Yeah.
The colorist saw this work and was like, "Oh man, I can make this sing," and they did.
Do you think that the colorist was a fan of Michael Golden? Is that why I get a Golden vibe from this?
Well, maybe, because Golden did quite a few. I got a swipe file of all of Golden's Punisher covers, and I think he colored those himself,
right?
And really put a stamp on how Punisher could be colored with the same tools that every other colorist has. So it looks very similar to that stuff. This came out after the Golden run of covers. Do you know? Or was Golden influenced by this stuff?
Man, that's a tough call. I think that the Golden covers were maybe about 10 issues before this, but I'm only guessing. I'd only be guessing.
Yeah, I can picture him. Like there's one with Ghost Rider.
That's why I'm picturing driving up the building, right?
Yeah, it's so great. And then there's so many great Golden covers, but they're notable to me, and what a huge influence on my own coloring because of his use of this kind of magenta red and with this blue, things like that. He was doing a lot of that kind of stuff, greens and blues and oranges, and so that I just love the impact of I mean, look at I like how much he stands out, because there's no other blue in this entire thing.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
But anyway, enough about the colors.
No. I mean, but the colors, but I mean, the drawing itself is really cool. The insides are very colored, very different. So this is Jaguar God. It's going to go a little bit out of order. So this was for Verotik, Glenn Danzig's company, and he was smart enough to grab Taran, who drew, just really, really brutal, hard rock, heavy metal kind of shit.
It's interesting because this is he's doing very much Beasley, Frazetta, Frank Teran. He's doing his own thing, but it's proportioned correctly for but if you look, this came before the Punisher stuff, right?
I would think so. You know what? No, I honestly, I'm going to say that the Punisher stuff might have gotten him this job,
because he was doing some really different stuff with the proportions. Like if you look at the Punisher piece, he had those big baggy pants, and like there was a kind of a design to his silhouette, whereas this is fairly traditional.
You figure a couple of other artists that worked for Verotik, I think, was Alex Horley and Liam Sharp at this time. So there was a lot of the meat and metal going on. Okay, so this is from Kazar, I think. Kazar.
I mean, I don't think I looked at this in color too much. I went and looked for the all the original art.
Well, I can do this.
Yeah,
a little more black and white. Let me see. I'll try to remove some of the gray. That's not too bad.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's,
man, look at that drawing. It's so good. And these are like sketches. Look at this shit.
It's so fast. I mean,
that's how I block in stuff. I mean, if I could have the balls to just say that's done. Whoo.
Yeah, and the smoke, there's a lot of depth in this. Even just I know that this grayed out the smoke. Yeah, if you look at it in terms of just sheer black and white, he's got edge lighting. Again, going back to edge lighting, he's got edge lighting all around that dinosaur, which drops back that smoke and stuff in the background, and it gives it a real three-dimensional look.
It's really good, man. That the lighting on the dinosaur is so nice, and then this is really, really great too.
My worry about doing the scritchy scratch stuff, like I come from the Golden school, where the direction of your feathering and lines, and it's what he's doing here is very much in regards to the motion, and he doesn't do a lot of cross hatching and things like that. But I'd love to get more loose with it and try some stuff like this, but I'm always worried that, like, especially with ink where there's no going back, I'm going to do a line of lines like that in the wrong spot, and it's like, how do you correct? It takes a lot of guts.
Well, this is so there's two kinds of lines that I think of. I think of power lines in my work, meaning that the really strong lines or shapes that support the drawing, meaning the structure of the drawing, but also lead the eye. And then I have what I call directional shapes. And directional shapes would be stuff like this, where you're blurring out like a leg. And directional shapes, you don't want more rendering going weird directions, because it negates the speed of this thing.
Right.
He slows.
Like if he had that on a tail, like it looks like he got a little out of control in the tail, which makes the tail look static.
Right.
But if it was going like the way that the leg was going, it might make that whole back end look blurred.
Yeah. And so I think he did a nice job with it, though, because I think that the body is really the focus and where he kind of wants you to stop and look more. The back leg, he can sort of, sublet it out.
I know these guys, these little figures he's got. I know these guys are like mongoloids or like mutants of some kind. So the proportions on that one
This right,
a little off, but
yeah,
you know, that's one of those things where like I don't know if I could let myself get away with that. Like,
yeah, this arm needs to be like, oh man, it's way long. Like that's closer to what. And watch when I put it back, like how long it is.
Look at the eyes. It looks like a little Spider-Man kind of.
Yeah. So we have a ton of shit to look through. We'll keep rolling. Okay, so this is from the Punisher.
Punisher, yeah.
But yeah, it's a more beefy like this almost reminds me of like
Tony Salmon's maybe.
Right, or like it has like a stoner art like Haight Ashbury sort of like Robert Crumb thing or something.
You got to wonder what his influences were. He's a Jersey guy originally, so he probably had access to guys like Tony Salmons and who's the inker. That inked most of Frank Miller stuff. I'm forgetting his name.
Pop Jansen.
Yeah, Jansen, who recently inked a Batman piece of his. Well, I say recently, within the last probably 10 years, but
Taran or
Frank Teran. So
wow.
This is what I consider largely East Coast kind of feel, you know, that
right.
Lots of splatter, you know.
Yeah.
I think comic art has, in a similar ways to like hip hop, you know, you got your East Coast, your West Coast, your South, you know, you got some different flavors in there.
This is great. This is like, it looks like Romita Jr. and like Frank Miller a little bit, like the face, like, God damn. The guy is just like, whew, he looks tough.
Sheldon Martin says, can't you correct with whiteout, then try again? Yes and no. These guys. Yeah, the guys like Taran, no fear, probably goes right in with a white acrylic paint or just whiteout. It can be tough to work on if your stuff is cleaner, but when it's rough like this, it doesn't matter. You go right over it. It'll probably blend right in. But if you're trying to do like that super meticulous, like Michael Golden kind of stuff, trying to do feathering super tight over correctional fluid, it could be bumpy and rough. You might have to sand it out. It's tricky. But also the original art collectors, some of them don't like the white correctional fluid and the different paste up stuff. They want a nice piece, an illustration piece to hang on their wall. But to me, all that stuff is battle scars. It's stuff that shows life. It shows the artist having to make decisions on the fly and to make things. I kind of like that. There's stories in all those corrections.
And look, the reality is they don't say a damn word about the Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns original art, which has been cut apart, and Klaus Jansen's inks were covered up on pages and all kinds of crazy shit.
See, I'm getting to where that point where it's like, man, I'll just ink it right on the page. And I see old school stuff where they'll have whole panels or even figures inked on a separate piece and pasted on there. I'm like, why am I afraid? Yeah, and a key thing about Frank's work, Frank Teran here, is his intensity. You know, even when it's just a static face. I mean, there's so much.
That could be right out of Stephen Platt's Prophet, like when he inked himself. It looks like a tight shot of Prophet.
That could be Conan. That could be. I mean, the storytelling on his face alone, the weathering, there's like spittle coming out of his mouth and stuff. I mean, it looks like the colorist thought maybe some snot was coming out of his nose.
Yeah. So cool.
But they're wet. Okay, there's water.
Yeah. It's okay. Well, I do that all the time. Like, I'll point something out and then I watch the video back. I'm like, what? Like, dude, come on, Rich, pay attention, Jack.
He had a very peculiar hairstyle for Punisher. It's this shaggy out hair. Oh, look at this.
So this could be a double page spread, but we'll see, I guess, as we move along if it was or not. Let me pull out a little bit so you can see it. This is nice. I've got a mic stand in front of me, so I can't see the whole page. I have to kind of look around.
Sheldon Martin says, yeah, I like the corrections on pages. Reminds me of famous guitars that were repaired by the original owner. That's it.
Right. This is wild shit, man.
Oh, Eric's here. Eric Canetti's this Frank Teran stuff.
Eric? We're looking at Taran.
Yeah, he said this stuff is brilliant. So glad you guys are going over it. So good. Yeah, not enough people are aware of Frank's stuff.
And everybody loved the stream yesterday, Eric. More and more people will see it throughout the week. But thank you so much for coming on. It was really fun.
Look at the speed here. That second panel, or I'm sorry, the third panel, the middle section, reminds me something out of Akira. You know, like when
this one right here.
Yeah.
Okay, let me. Yeah.
Well, not that one. The next one up.
Oh, up. I'm sorry.
Third. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I wasn't.
See all the motion. Like
yeah.
Oh man, I mean, it's just.
But again, if you look at it like this would be like for someone learning, like don't like when you want to do a shot like this, don't crosshatch. You don't need lines going other directions. If you look, all of his lines are going with the flow of the panel, the way that he wants it. And then he indicates a little bit of stuff like this, but he's very, very careful not to have too many shapes that are going to fight this very aggressive push.
Well, even the directions in the bodies, if you look, they're all angled. Even that guy's hand right there is pointed in. Everything is geared to a right-left direction.
It really works well.
Shrapnel. And then the next one doesn't really have a direction. It's more coming at you, you know.
Well, if you look right here, let me see. I don't know what color my brush is on right now. Is it a color we can see? No. Let me. I'm gonna get out full screen mode for 1 second. Grab red. He does actually have a design element that I'm seeing in the page because he pulls you like through this way. My opacity is low. Sorry, let me get out of this one more time. Kick that opacity. All right. There. Now.
I love the sound effect. Shaboom.
Yeah. So watch this right here. He pulls this shape down, and then he's got this really curve right here. Do you feel that? Because he uses this to take you through here, and then he swings you back around through this panel like that. I mean, that's kind of what I see. And
then the next one kind of goes off the other way. Yeah.
This is rare. I talked about this in a video within the last week. I've only all the art that I've looked at on this channel, like hundreds, if not thousands of pages. Like literally, there's probably 3 examples of people that send you this way out of a page, but it can work. It was Neil Adams would do it.
Yeah.
Neil Adams had a couple of pieces that I looked at that he would send you that way. It works.
I'm thinking if the storytelling is clear, this is a big hang up for me early in my youth doing comics was trying to be filmic, you know, and using the exact same rules that film uses. And it tends to end up with some very static and boring kind of pages. And then somebody told me, is like, no, as you know, just don't worry about that. And same thing with like Alan Moore was saying that he's trying to do stuff that's specific to comics, you know, where that can't be done in film and things like that. So I really kind of changed my thinking into like, well, maybe that doesn't matter as long as it's clear. But these, I mean, they are rules in place for a reason. They are to kind of like help you. So like in a bind, when you're like, what am I going to do? It's really easy to kind of fall back on those rules.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. It's, you know, if you figure if someone like Neil Adams will go for it occasionally, then it's
like on this, well, like this page, for instance, he's got this panel at the top, and then he's got the insert, and then you have to go back over the to the left. But the way he's organized the building, I guess that they're on the edge of in the top panel.
Yeah.
Well, even in the top in the first panel.
This.
See how it points from that inset panel over to the side, so it still kind of works.
He helps you get back over here,
but that would have been giving me fits for sure.
This is nice. He's got a real nice shape, and even the like you could almost go like this, follow the Punisher's gun, and then go this way, and then he sort of swings you back through like that.
Well, my philosophy too with action is that you should have a flow of action, but you know, some things don't need to be read in continuity if it's happening concurrent. So you could have a set of inset panels that aren't necessarily in the flow, and it doesn't matter when the reader reads those panels because it's happening at some point in this. You know.
Yeah. That's actually a very good. That's a great point. Oh man, that's a neat panel.
Look at that face; almost looks familiar, like some Keown kind of.
Oh yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I could.
Keown does those like real cartoony. Faces.
How big this guy's body is. It's funny. He's got like almost like a Kingpin type body, but you know, the hands are very Sam Keith, right? Would you say that's kind of Sam Keith-ish?
Yeah, a little bit. But I mean, Keith had those, same with Bernie Wrightson. Those two guys had these like Bern Hogarth super dynamic, Yeah, those are great though. You know what it is? It might be the lighting, because Keith was really good at the dual lighting.
Yeah,
a little bit of under lighting there, and the colors picked up on that too, which is good.
This light rig thing that's like falling apart right here is fantastic. It looks very, very cool.
Michael Hingart says, found some Mark Texera Wolverine lately thanks to Rich's videos. Looks like this is going to be the next guy to look into. Yeah.
Oh wait, dude, when you see the Kazar issue, you're gonna shit your pants. I'm kind of glad that it's going in this order. Kazar, like both Kelsey and I were just like, whoa. Well,
when you're used to seeing, this guy's art, and you're like, you kind of know what to expect, and it is Taran, but like on a level that, like, oh man, I didn't realize this was out there. I should have known about this.
We'll hustle through some of this. We have so much to look at. We'll sort of pound through these real quick for a second here, but really nice pages and well worth looking at. Oh, this is neat. I like this. This is interesting too. Again, this has got, I don't know why, it reminds me of like, I guess, I see Tony Salmons in it.
Tony Salmons, I also see a little bit of like old school Kyle Baker.
Okay, I could see that. I could see that too. Yeah.
He's got the movement in the figures where it's like, he's not really worried about even Kent Williams and like all those East Coast guys.
Yeah, man, so good. This is funny too. Wow. This is like really, but like interesting. Like he took it to a very weird spot, but I like it.
Decidedly Taran in a lot of ways. It's really weird. It feels like he was experimenting with what a lot of people were bringing in more cartoony stuff.
Do you think that's a Jamie Hewlett sort of nod?
It looks, yeah, you're right. It looks a little Hewlett. Yeah.
Some crazy shit.
I'd love to be able to talk to him. Like, what were you thinking here? Who's this from?
Yeah.
Look at that. It's so. Look at the little bit of lines coming off the mat. It's almost like water.
Yeah. That's a really back up. These right here, beautiful addition. Really clever idea. It does do that though, like all the sweat and blood and stuff like that. When the mat gets hit, it leaps up like that. So it's actually really, really clever. Talk about observation skills.
And look at these faces. I actually kind of like some of the cartoony quality of this stuff.
This goes crumb, like it has the crumb. So
yeah,
weird.
I love he's got lots of squash and stretch going on. A lot of animation.
Look at the rendering on this arm. This is hysterical. So I give a lot of like Patreon like lessons and reviews, and generally what I tell people, because I think sometimes that when they approach me as like a professional inker, they think that I'm gonna kind of go like, oh well, you need to have like tight feathering. You're gonna need to do this and that. But the fact of the matter is that you can combine many different looks into one thing, but it has to the full look of the piece needs to work together. But this is a great example. Look at how many fucking different rendering styles he has just on the arm right here. It's nuts.
He's got some dry brushing, and I can actually tell you where I think he swiped this shot from.
It's so crazy.
Can you figure it out? It's a Beasley. It's from Batman Judgment on Gotham.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Is that the one, Judgment on Gotham, with the... It's when Batman was tied to a chair, and then like he rips out and just punches the crap out of I think Judge Dredd. But it's the same exact shot, but painted. So
yeah,
he kind of did like the black and white version of that.
He has stipple, and here I see like stipple marks.
Is it stipple?
It looks like stipple. Crazy. I see little dots in here. Like he went in and kind of like just sort of went doo, 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 doo. But this is really beautiful right here. It's very weird and looks kind of crazy. And then look at these. He's got these like little blunt lines, and it's just like all over the map. But he is following the form. If you look, these lines curve this way over the muscle, and he brings it back over the elbow right here. These all go. So it's not as willy-nilly as I like to say as you might think, really. Guy knows what he's doing.
I wish he carried it over into the glove a little bit, like some of the shadow, but
I agree.
A little flat, but
Yeah.
And you know what, the tendons and stuff, you were talking about the different line weights there. Well, when you zoom out of it, it looks like little tendons and sinew and things like that.
Yeah. So the interior colors were done by Christy Scheel. So it's different than the cover art color, but this is nice, really chunky. I like his Frank Castle.
These kind of pages would terrify me as a colorist, because it's like, what do you do? Like, what, do you complete the environment as if it was real, or do you?
I like this guy. He's got a smiley face and like Michelin Man head.
That's a real trick to like digital art. Is for traditional, you could just draw this crowd, and you draw little smiley faces, but you pull back and you read it as just a crowd. But like when you're digital, you have a tendency to zoom in and try to fill in all those little faces.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, so we're gonna hustle through. There's another issue of the Punisher. We're gonna go through it fast so we can get to the other issues, though, because they're quite a bit different. This is, I mean, it's nice, but you know what I mean. We'll
look at the lighting on that. Yeah, some of these are great.
Man, that is wild.
The colorist was like, "Nah, I'm not doing that background."
Christy was like,
"I'm not even doing the foreground. I'm gonna do the foreground hair."
Look at
that's so crazy.
This guy is amazing.
Look at the body language there. That kind of like bend.
So good.
There's like almost no straight lines in his stuff.
It's a little McFarlane-ish right here. I don't know why, but like it reminds me of something Todd would do. Like the little tweak, the tweak on his toes is kind of like, it's sort of funny and cute in a weird way.
Yeah, a lot of these.
Look at his pants. This guy's pants are hysterical. He's like, he has the fattest legs.
So what do you think his primary goal is? What, emotional more than technical?
He's just like, man, he's just drawing pages. There's an attention to detail that leads me to believe that he does actually care about what he's doing. Like, meaning that like it goes beyond storyboards and him just kind of putting stuff down just to go like, I drew it. It's clear. I'm telling the story. There's enough detail that he's spending some time. Like a shot like this is probably quick to do, but that's a very cinematic like panel, man. This is nice. But yeah, I think it.
But yeah, this page is exceptional. I mean, he's got close-ups. He's even got some like Toth kind of like that bottom panel, 2 panels with the light. All you can see is in the shadow work there. I mean, that's some Toth stuff. This guy's a bag of tricks. He's got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And that face, it's so hard to do teeth biting into a lip like that and have it read like what it is.
Yeah. Oh, this one. Yeah.
It tends to, when I do it, it tends to look like it's just like cartoon teeth, like.
Yeah.
That looks like he's biting on his lip.
Let's turn it black and white so we can really look at it. Yeah, it works. It does work.
Yeah, man. So good. Rounded corners. That's some Sam Keith stuff.
Yeah.
Panels.
Oh, man, it's nice.
It's hard to do crowd shots. Crowd shots interacting with each other like this is tough.
I like the meat hook, just sort of.
Yeah, where's that? That's on the end of somebody's stick, I guess.
Yeah, look at that. That panel. Oh, these 2 panels right here. Oh man,
you could see a growth from this issue, from last issue to this issue.
Yeah,
there's a big improvement already.
Yeah, I remember seeing these and just being like, I don't know who this guy is, but he's just gone up the food chain.
Check that bottom panel out. Zoom into that. Like, look at the layers. He's got the foreground, middle ground, background here.
Yeah.
And that foreground with that razor wire. Oh man, it just so much depth. Might be a little low for the perspective, but it still works. Who cares?
Yeah. Man, I learned so much doing these videos. It's just crazy. Like, it's so good for your mind to exercise like this, looking at art and talking about it.
Here's why I say I think maybe he's working more on an emotional tip, because that face right there, like a lot of the close-ups of Frank, like he changes model. Now this could be a product of just being a young artist, fairly trying to figure things out. But I think it's him getting on a visceral reaction from the script, and it's like less important that Frank is on model, and it's more about the acting and the mood that he's bringing right there.
Yeah, goddamn, so freaking good. Oh my god, and we have the best stuff to look at coming.
Texera is really good at that too. I think he's very an emotional artist, but highly.
We're gonna hustle. We're gonna move through the rest of this one quick because it'll be too long. We'll look at this though. This is great shit. The fence giving way on that bottom panel is fucking mad. So good. Look at that shit.
Do you think he just went to town right on the page, or do you think he laid this stuff out first?
I don't see him doing thumbnails on another sheet of paper. He looked like I could imagine maybe he does a little bit of blue pencil just to get sort of the big shapes in, and then just kind of like goes. Because the nice thing about this style is you can draw and erase shit, and it's not like you're trying to do pretty pencils, like as a showpiece. And so it's like if he's got score marks in the page because he penciled too dark and had to erase something, it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to buy a few of these originals. Fuck, it would be awesome.
I've seen a few out there, and they're almost like ink wash paintings. I don't know about the Punisher stuff, but his like all the stuff he's done in the last 15 years or so, it's just he just goes for it.
Frank, I don't know if you'll ever see this video, but if you do, reach out and say hello.
Yeah,
would be really cool. I'd appreciate it. It would be very, very cool to speak with you.
Look at those back muscles.
And this is exactly what you were just talking about. I can see where that would look ink washy. Do you see it here? It's funny. You said it, and there it is.
Well, Texera does that a lot too, and when it's reproduced, it has these effects where they don't do gray. It just looks like, and for years and years, it used to like, how did they get that texture? Is it a crayon pencil? In some cases it is. Is it dry brush? Some cases it is. But that could be just some rough, non-straight black ink, and then the reproduction makes it this texture. And
look how chunky the ink lines are all through this area right here. It's actually kind of funny, like how thick this.
Like, what is that?
It's crazy.
It's much more graphic than the rest of the stuff, but
yeah. Well, let me go back to the color. It's not super noticeable when you see it in color, though. But even like the lines on his pants right here are like very, very thick.
That's something that I also had to learn too. Is like not being so obsessive on each stage, because each stage builds upon the last. So if there's little things that are bugging you in the inks, you're probably not going to see it in the color stage.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to finish this one up really quick.
Yeah.
It's nice. I like that a lot.
Lots of action stuff. This is great.
Yeah.
A lot of movement.
Okay. So
movement. So good.
That's cool.
Look at them giant ass pants, man. That's it.
I know. I like that though. Like he's got the old school. They look like Frank Frazetta pants that he would have worn in 1933 when he was beating up kids in high school.
Yeah, man.
Those are like that's very East Coast, like workman's pants. Okay, so this is the Saber-Tooth issue. We'll move. The Saber-Tooth is good, but Kazar is really where we're gonna put the rest of our money.
Yeah, the coloring kind of chokes this one up a little bit, but
yeah, one it's interesting too is you can really see that he used a lot of white paint on this. Like this is all drawn in after the detail. They're very, very thick, like white lines.
Well, you could do some really interesting techniques where you'll do some dry brushing going like to create speed, like in the left-right direction, like in that panel. You could do some dry brushing, and then you could take the white and go over the highlights of where the wrinkles on the jacket are over that, and it creates this illusion of depth. And like it makes people wonder how the hell you did that.
Yeah. The nice thing about these colors is I can remove them really, really easily. So that'll make this actually a little bit more fun to look at, I think. But it's much more heavy-handed than the Punisher stuff.
Yeah, it is. You could tell he's getting there's a little more Zafino probably in this stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go grayscale. I think that's going to be the modus operandi for these.
That background though, is that something the colorist added, or did they blur the hell out of his art?
Okay. No, I don't think that was that. Well, this could have been in the line art, and this may have been in the line art and then reversed.
Yeah.
It's still cool. I mean, he's another guy that I go, man, like if he was on Instagram and did like daily sketches, they would be so fun to see. I love this upper panel. Man, that is great.
Yeah, he's bringing in a lot more Mignola, and I don't mean the black. I mean, like, look at his silhouettes of each individual figure.
Yeah.
They're very clean, and you can instantly read their body language. Basically,
well, this is very similar to something out of Hellboy.
Right.
There's a shot in Hellboy, or something that Mignola did that's like very, very similar to that. So it wouldn't surprise me. It's really good though.
Really good. Love that rain.
Yeah.
Rain and snow are so much fun to do in comics. I mean, you can instantly add detail and depth and all that with this.
I like this guy showing up. Is like just like comes out of nowhere. What's happening here, Yuri?
It's really tricky to do with this much black and have people's eye go where you want it. Like that guy in the shadows could have easily gotten lost.
Yeah.
He's got little light hitting tree branches and stuff. So you could just get lost in that.
This looks like a super detailed Sin City page.
It does. God, his command over volume is so much more impressive in this issue than the Punisher stuff, because like that hand grabbing the face, you can see where it's like pinching into the skin and stuff. That's all volume.
Yeah. Oh man, this is fun. I'm glad we're doing this again, Kelsey. I knew you were busy, but I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
I do this on my own anyway. I got to research, see what everybody else is up to, so I can kick their ass.
Yeah. Well, that's why I always tell people, I'm like, it's hard for me to justify doing this on my own. But if I do it for like YouTube, then I go, well, I'm providing content. It helps me have, be out there. And then also I'm getting the opportunity to learn. So it's kind of a win-win-win, triple win.
Black Sand says it looks like the artist is moving fast with his tools. The work seems alive. That's probably the case.
A beautiful page.
It's like going to town,
Look at this. Gorgeous.
Yeah, it's so fun. See how he kind of lit up where because everything is black, but right around the figures there, it's almost like steam or haze from the rain.
Yeah. Oh, it's really cool. God dang. Oh my gosh. I'm squeezing this dude's face. Danzig might actually have a bunch of originals of this stuff, because I know he would a lot of times, I think if you work for him, he would be interested sometimes in buying you out of your originals.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be fun. Like dig into the Danzig art collection, because Canetti's got some old Danzig stuff too. That's where I first saw Canetti.
Yeah. It was funny so back in the early days of eBay, I had inked a cover for Umberto Ramos for Crimson, like a variant cover. It was like a black kind of chromium thing. So I sold the original on eBay, and Danzig ended up buying it. It was just really weird, because it was back in the day where you actually used your email address, and so it was Blackline Fever was the name of the person that won it, and when I got the notification that it had sold, it was like Glenn Danzig, Blackline Fever. And I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, Glenn Danzig just bought a piece of art off me on eBay. It was just very surreal. We ended up talking about
who's an art fan, man. You never know.
He's a sweet guy. I've met him at Comic-Con. It bothers me that people talk shit about him or make like there's lots of Danzig jokes. He's a very, very down to earth person. He's very soft spoken and a really nice guy. And fuck, man, he was in the Misfits and Danzig, his solo shit. Forget about it.
Yeah, if you could just if he has a little sense of humor about it, people give it up.
Yeah, he's
he's kind of fun.
And he loves Frazetta. Like anyone that likes Frazetta is a friend of mine.
Yeah, I ain't gonna get on to any comic book fan. It doesn't matter how famous they are. If they're comic book fans, they're okay with me.
Right. I like this page a lot. Let's see this. Oh, it's so dark. God, man.
Golly. Wow. Oh man, that makes such a difference when you pull the color out of it.
There's a chance that Glenn might watch this video. If he ever looks up Frank Teran, he might spot this video. That'd be cool. What's up, Glenn? This is cool. I actually like stuff like this. It's really good. The mountain looks great. Oh, let's do it. Crazy out.
Trees are fun to do, man. It's one of those things where you can kind of be on the phone or do something different and just let your hand just make trees.
Yeah, for sure. It's nice. Really, really nice piece. I love. Look at the light when you see all the color pulled out. How he did that. That's really cool.
The jacket there, like I always want to mess with patterns, but I chicken out real fast. Because then you got to commit every time you draw that jacket. You're gonna have to draw that pattern.
Yeah,
but it adds a lot because like you can see that guy standing anywhere in a page because of that pattern.
Yeah, Bacalo uses it a lot.
He's a master of it. He'll do it for sheer page design too.
Yeah. This is really interesting. I remember looking through this issue and going, this proves to me that he has discipline because although he may have lightboxed his house from like a photo or something like that, I mean, he's putting the work in and not just like phoning in like something like this. Because it's like if you really are just into like the meat and metal and the faces and stuff like that, shit like this is going to just be like.
That's actually something you see a lot of these guys do. Like you'll see Kent Williams you could tell that they're more interested in the figure work. And you don't get that discipline of a comic book storyteller where, if there's a house there or a car, you can just kind of bite the bullet and draw it.
Yeah.
And Taran's one of those guys, man. He's not afraid of anything.
This is great. This is such a, like, man, it's so cool looking. And you can see, I see a little Mignola in this face.
Nipples, man.
Right.
Saber-Tooth nipples, man. Look at that face. So good.
They're great.
You think this is old school pen and ink, like real deal with a quill?
I would think so. Yeah, I would.
Because look at the fur on that bottom left panel there.
This right here? Yeah.
That zigzag, that back and forth. I wouldn't do that with a quill.
It depends on what way you hold it. I always held the quill wrong for a long time, and I would always throw I would kind of have it like parallel to the paper or whatever you call it. Like I would sweep it like this. But years later, I started to learn to kind of go at it sideways more and use it like a knife blade, and then you can kind of go back and forth as long as you don't spur it.
I use it so many different ways. Like if you just barely touch it, you can play with the little bead of ink. And like you don't even have to touch the paper, and you can kind of push that little bead of ink around.
Yeah.
Or you can just, and the splatters going everywhere, and you get these happy accidents.
This face right here,
so good.
Yeah. All right, we're going to Kazar. Let's do it. I love this panel. See,
he's a master of teeth.
Yeah, I know, right? He really, I was so impressed by this, and it's funny. This almost has like a little bit of like a Shiro vibe or something. Like it's like that sort of sci-fi kind of vibe. It's really cool, really
being
cool.
in those close quarters, like really cramped spaces.
All right, Kazar, let's go. Oh man, that's
dual lighting on this stuff. Yeah, look at these environments, really wacky.
Yeah.
And this is when the coloring in Marvel just sucked. I hated they do blurring things, and I don't know what they were doing, man. Look at the coloring; it's so bad.
Yeah, look at this. And biting his tongue. Ow!
Thank God this didn't last long. That face, man. Look, God, the lips and stuff. There's like veins in the lips.
Oh yeah. like tendons. Oh man, look at this page. Holy shit!
I would buy any of this stuff.
Yeah,
hanging on my wall. That is so great. Intense. The body language and everything. It looks animalistic.
Yeah, he looks like he's about ready. Oh man, look at that body. I couldn't see it because
no pupils.
Shit. Yeah, it's very like Zafino, right?
Yeah.
One of the books that we didn't mention was Zafino, the dad, Jorge Zafino, is he did a run on Terror Incorporated for Marvel, and those are kind of fun to check out for people that are into Zafino.
What was that? The
Terror Inc. Jorge.
Oh Zafino. Yeah, Terror Inc. Totally.
He did like 12 issues. Oh, this is great. Man, beautiful, beautiful page.
Yeah, that is man. Look at the way he did the little cloud.
Yeah, it's really nice.
The moon,
great.
Negative of it's the moon with clouds, and then a silhouette of the boat. It's just so well done.
I know, man.
And the house. I mean, there's so much black, but everything is separated perfectly. Oh man,
it's really, really good. I love this guy. He looks like
something I don't do enough either is throwing angles on stuff.
Right.
That. That's
I mean, it's a straight up shot, and he just rotated it. Okay, so here we go. Oh, here's the cover. It's very, very cool.
That's great.
All right, Kazar, here we go. This stuff is wild. We're gonna go out of order, but it's not gonna matter in a minute.
I don't know if you're gonna be able to take the colors out of this one. There's a lot of like airbrushing and stuff.
Yeah, we'll pick key pages and do it. Look at this right here. Man, that's so good. Look at the torque on that monster.
You can see an evolution of all this stuff. There's like a
look at this.
Confidence, I guess.
Watch this. This is going to be crazy when I remove the gray on this. For this drawing in particular right here. Look what is there.
Wait, can you go back? Because look at behind are in the
right
yeah, see all the
yeah.
He inked that though.
You think those are in the original inks?
Well, I don't know. The coloring, yeah. I mean, some of that stuff, even the way the smoke around Kazar there is drawn, looks like he drew it, not the colors. So it makes me wonder if he did that on a separate layer, an onion. I don't know, man. Yeah, it's deep. It's deep when it gets all mixed up like that, and you can't tell. Yeah. Like the water. Go down to the water there. He's got some like line.
Oh yeah. That's nice. That's actually a very, very cool effect.
That lightning is great. It's so three-dimensional. It really looks like it's coming out at us.
Yeah, it's cool. This bottom panel is nice too. All right, let's go. What do we got? Oh man,
Antoine Dennison sounds strange, but I see a little Bill Watterson in that pen work. Now that's.
I could see that. There was the hand that I was talking about that I said looked like Sam Keith like 20 minutes ago or 25 minutes ago. I was getting like a weird sort of Calvin and Hobbes sort of vibe from it too. So
that's kind of, he's another guy that just kind of is gut feeling with tools.
Yeah.
He's so good at explosions, because there's a randomness to his stuff.
And this is very disciplined for him. Like
is this before or after the Saber-Tooth gig? Do you know?
I'm not 100% sure just off the top of my head. I would say that
because it's a lot more open.
I would say that this was probably after Saber-Tooth.
The face, man.
It would.
Everything is colored. It's kind of hard because like even the black has purple in it.
Yeah. Well, here, let me
doing that.
Try to see what I can remove, and then I'll hit this.
How many times have I passed on an amazing book for shitty coloring? Like.
Oh, right.
I probably couldn't even see half this stuff because of the coloring. By the way, it almost looks like he cross-hatched all those blocks there for a second. Wow.
Try to use the burn tool to burn some of the black back in. It's a nice laid out page.
Yeah, see, it's so much more like direct. Man, I would love to see him do just black and white books.
Yeah, right. So do you think this guy draws at all right now, or do you think that he doesn't draw? Like, look at this.
Well, he went to he got into game design. He and I guess some buddies or people he knew formed a company in Austin, and they were doing some aliens stuff and Attack of the Mushroom Men or whatever that was. That was like the biggest thing. It kind of hit fairly big for just a moment. And I got to see some of that design work from our mutual friend, and it was much more digital painting. So I mean, you could see a guy like this; it wouldn't be a big stretch for him to actually paint.
Yeah.
But that's largely what he's been doing. But that company is long gone, and there's not really there's no website for it. There's no record of any of that stuff. So I don't know what he's doing now.
Such a shame. It's really weird. Well,
but look at that face. That's a Jay Lee girl right there. Go down. Look at that profile of her face.
Oh yeah. Like how Jay draws now, a little bit, or any like anything. Yeah. I could see that.
No, it's fun when you see influences because like it seems like it'd be illogical that he likes Jay Lee. I've made that mistake before because you go and ask him like, no, I've actually never looked at Jay Lee, and you're like, whoa, how did that work out? But
it's possible that Jay was a fan of this. I can't imagine Jay working at Marvel, and then because this would have been done around the time that Jay was probably just going to Image Comics around then. I mean, it's very possible that Jay saw this stuff. I don't know how he wouldn't like it based on the look of it.
They could be chilling on the same kind of stuff too, because they're very similar influences.
It's a little like a Frazetta sketch, even though the proportions are a little more stylized. And I'm sure that they both like Sienkiewicz.
Look at that face. So much life in that.
And this gets real
panel, that black splotch. It's separate the figure, but it's really and it says stone and tree branches and things like that, but it's really just some noodly scratching of.
Yeah, the colorist did a real nice job on it. Because if you look at it in black and white, it is actually a little difficult to see. Well, I guess this sort of establishes it.
Yeah, okay. It's like stone and some vines, maybe, but really, it's to pop them figures out.
The colorist did a really nice job with this really kind of beautiful bluish green that they put right in this area. Really gives it a nice, like, kind of bruised flesh look. You see it in through here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that kind of, I don't know, sienna or whatever it is.
Some of that rock sketching too. It's some of the way the treatment of the rocks reminds me of Kevin Nolan a little bit.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at that.
So next week, what I want you to do is I want you to pick a book that you want me to see that you think that maybe I haven't seen, and then I'll try to do the same for you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter if ultimately I have seen it. But and you can surprise me. And just what I'll do is you can send me the files right before the video. And
what I like about watching your videos, like, you'll show a guy off, and I'm like, I didn't know anybody knew that guy before. So you're really that's a challenge, I think, is to find somebody that maybe you haven't seen.
Well, or just something I haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah,
either or.
We got this. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say a lot of people will ask me. They'll go like, "Oh, you need to do." Someone was asking me about the guy that kind of there's a Vatin. It's Vatin. Alberto Veranda, and someone was saying, "Oh, you need to do Veranda." What's the book called? La Mort Vivante. It's kind of the Bernie Wrightson sort of book that he did. If you know Alberto's work, but I've done a video on him. But a lot of times people won't actually search the channel. So
yeah, I may have seen that. I may know that work. Sometimes I forget names, but
yeah, he's like the next coming of Bernie Wrightson. Oh, this is cool.
Man, that's so wild. Buildings like that. It reminds me of like the Beasley, the way he draws like bloopy future buildings. But
yeah.
I want to steal that so bad. Bloopy buildings.
Do it. Steal it.
I'm very cautious about my influences. Like I don't like I have tons of influences, and if you're really sharp-eyed, you could see them all. But like, I always feel like if I did something like that, it would be too obvious. So,
look at this. Is what is amazing about this piece to me is okay. Watch this piece of tech right here. Oh, hold on, am I on a brush? I love that it starts out here and it's in front of the thing, and it curls back and goes back in his face this way. And then he's got this loop, and really it's almost like an intestine. Like I feel like it keep looping around on itself. And then even this edge is very like it comes out and it goes in, and it's just doing like really, really interesting shapes.
It's good use of basic shape language, you know.
Yeah,
a lot of people starting off, including myself, would get lost in the details, and it's really good idea to block it out into its basic shapes first, so you can go, oh, I can read this as just here's kind of a loose figure shape, here's some trees, here's some mountains, and then you can go in and detail the hell out of it.
This is a beautiful page for you know, like a kind of a trippy sequence to draw. I mean, you've got a guy on like just on a completely crazy looking cliff face.
And I think that's what makes Taran successful in his scratchiness, is the fact that he has very clear shape language. I mean, just that first panel with the rock cliff and that little edge jutting out.
Yeah.
And then you got that one line kind of defining the mountains range in the back, and there's bits of smoke. It's very, very easy to read, even though it's very, you know, messy in its style.
He does a great thing here, and it almost to me is like symbolic of like a clock ticking. So he's on the ledge. You have this really beautiful shape here, but if you look, it's like tick tock tick. You know, I mean, it's really, really interesting how he used time, the juxtaposition of this weird panel, but it really does feel like it's like, all right, this is the time that he's going to climb out of this area. It's very interesting. This is beautiful too. I love actually the shape of these clouds.
Yeah, doing things like upward trajectory in comics is kind of tricky because you're, as a reader, you're reading down.
Yeah.
So to show someone climbing up, it's really tricky, you know. Like to me, like if I was just looking at it, it's almost like he's climbing down the edge of the cliff.
Right. Yeah. Because climbing up, it's like no. You don't want to send someone back up the page. You want
to. So it's these little things are kind of hard when you're dealing with like writers who aren't super aware of visual storytelling. It's those little things that are tricky to pull off.
Yeah. This is cool.
Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, it's so lush.
Let's do this one in black and white. See what we got going on. What do we got going on?
There's no gutters, which I used to get a lot of criticism early on because I would do full bleed and just bleed everything into each other, and people would say it's hard to read from one panel to the next. But I'm seeing him control his shadow placement. Some of it gets a little tricky, but I don't know. I'm not having trouble reading this at all. I look at the crack from the splash panel. That crack goes right to the first panel the second panel that you're supposed to read.
Yeah. It's funny because like most people will agree that like How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way is a really, really nice book about drawing comic books. But it's interesting to me that a lot of the stuff that we talk about hasn't been as explored as sort of what would you call it, like in depth,
right?
Because it's like, you know, a more interesting angle is better than a very like straight on one, but you know, there's quite a bit more to it. I know I have the Eisner book, the Eisner sequential book. Yeah.
I think those rules, like I was saying earlier, those rules are really like I'm kind of known for being fast, but it's not really that I draw faster than anyone else. It's just that I have an easy solution for problems as they come up. And that comes through time. And I think that storytelling is the same kind of way, is that you really need to be grabbing the reader no matter what you do. You need to be getting their attention. But if you run into issues where I'm not sure how to do this, you can easily fall back to the rules and get ideas, because it's like, oh, these will work. It's sort of like Wally Wood's panels for what will work. It's like if you're running into a roadblock, you just go to something you know will work no matter what.
So this is interesting because I get I'm sure you get this too from pencilers, is people will ask like how to draw hair and whatnot. So he's using dreadlocks here, but what I want to point out is really this though, is he takes this shape and he brings you through this way, but look at how he drew the hair. He follows the same pattern and brings you up and into this guy's head.
Yep.
into this guy's head, and then this wraps you around. So when you're drawing hair and you're trying to figure out how you're going to place it into a panel, like if he would have just had his hair going like this, it's not going to be, you know what I mean? Like that's not going to be an effective storytelling tool as much as just having the flow, you know? I mean, it's you're the artist, you're the director, pick your shots accordingly, and it'll really make some of the problem solving, I think, more easy.
Well, and then the bottom with his arm and the arrow, and it goes right into like you see where the arrow is going. You know, there's a lot of like cause and effect, and a lot of
when he frames this T-Rex's head with this shape, you know. Points. I would say weapons are pointers. You know, you point them where you want people to look, and they'll look because people are scared of weapons. No.
Yeah. Hey, Sheldon Martin for $10. This is awesome. I wasn't aware of Frank Teran until this spotlight. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sheldon. We appreciate it. If you have any question, please feel free to fire it off. Also, this is great. That's a really nicely drawn figure. It's really, I like the side plane of his body, and you really get a nice sense of form from it. It's really good.
It's really easy to lose this stuff when you're doing the scratchy kind of stuff, and that's again testament to how good his shape language is, his grasp of volume and lighting, because you know you can feel the roundness of things. You know, it doesn't have the flatness that a lot of this kind of style can bring.
I love how he lit his body, the shadows on his body and like loincloth right here. It's really, really cool. Yeah. So classic comic book, just that right there, man. It could be out of a Hal Foster comic, you know. So I don't know if Foster's work that well, but I'm just gonna go with that.
I love stuff like this, like that the middle panel where you have a lot of negative space. You know, you have kind of the mass of it is all coming from the bottom left corner, and kind of, even the dinosaur's tail curls around to kind of encompass the guy on the top. You know, just makes this nice unit. You know, this section.
Oh, a little dark. Let me see if I can pull out just a little bit more of the gray.
That Saber-Tooth down there at the bottom. I just realized what that silhouette was. Saber-Tooth tiger.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, it was I couldn't see it because it's behind this sort of mountain of camera.
So vicious, man. So vicious.
He gets the face like he really pulled that mouth open. It works well.
Some artists really can scare you, and Taran has that toe dipped in horror.
Yeah,
you know, where he really can like put you at an uneasy feeling. You know.
Yeah. Oh man,
these creature designs are great. They would unnerve me if I was sitting in a circle with these aliens or creatures, whatever these are.
This is really fun. Mignola did that real nice Wolverine Jungle Adventure book.
Yeah.
Had like a lot of native people in it and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. Man, these are great.
See the fire there? That's where grabbing a brush and just flinging ink.
Yeah.
You know, with the mind of how fire works, and again volumes and shapes, but he's just creating happy accidents by twirling the brush in and out of the flames, and it creates a natural look.
Look at this, like he's got these lines running like parallel with the panel going through it. It's so weird. Like you see that, like these lines, they're good.
Oh yeah, he's doing that's a film a lens technique. Anamorphic lenses create flares that go across the panel like that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
He's doing that in art, which is really interesting.
Well, Kennedy and I were talking about like just like the random little things that you'll see and you throw it like into a comic book drawing like that, but it really, really looks great. And how often do you see that in a comic book drawing? Very, very rarely, especially in the black and white art.
You know what's cool is that it mimics the left to right lines of the whole page. Really has a left to right feeling. There's not a lot of up or down, except for that there's that last panel. He angles it off. Yeah, like it doesn't zigzag as much. Yeah, it's really, really interesting. Even that at the top panel, you got the big guy's arm.
Yeah,
coming down. It's pointing right to the fire. Everything's pointing like right where you need it to look.
Yeah. I kind of read it like this. I swoop this way and then swoop around to the fire. If I can or I'm on a grayscale file.
There you go.
Yeah. But yeah, like I start here and I kind of sweep around this way and then end up over by these guys. But this, I mean, there's really, like you said, you just kind of read it left to right. It doesn't bring you back around. But I think he kind of wants this to be a pause beat. Like this is sort of its own moment, and you kind of stick on it, and then you start over.
Well, even that little line that you were talking about kind of draws your eye off back over to the.
Yeah. It does. Man, fucking so cool. Love that shit.
Oh man. So good. Animals are hard.
This guy climbing up is awesome. Oh my god.
Again, there's that arm again. He's really good at arms.
Yeah.
That back of the arm where the
elbow
meets, and you got this muscle and all this tendony stuff right here. I mean, he just what is that? The
right here. That's right
here. And then what is that deltoid? What the hell is that muscle in the back of the arm?
This is the tricep.
Tricep. Yeah, look how he's got that like hard edges on that, which shows that he's just the muscle is just tensed up with him pulling himself up.
This wall thing reminds me of Crash Bandicoot. The jungle part of Crash Bandicoot. You have to climb up the wall.
That's our Taran. He's a big game fan.
Yeah, right.
Totally.
This figure right here is awesome. This guy. Both actually these are very cool. They're kind of Mignola shapes in a weird way, or it's like Silvestri channeling Mignola like through Frank. Because Mike wouldn't have these as human proportions, but the way it's built up has a Mignola vibe to me. And then he does kind of the Silvestri flat face where it's like your face, like Mark will have this angle, especially with girls. Usually they're going this way. It's funny. I'll flip quick. But yeah, Mark will do this where like he'll have a girl's face like in a panel and it'll be very like I don't know, it almost looks like it's melting back on his Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
Frank kind of like it's almost like either it's just a tick in their art or
there's a perspective thing. Like Mark is very what I would call 1 point perspective.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Like even the faces, like there's sometimes where it's like the eyes and everything are on this flat plane, sometimes. And it's kind of what you're talking about, but
this has a Jay Lee feel.
That's great.
Doesn't it? It feels like a Jay Lee page. This right here, man.
Yeah, there's like some Frazetta in there too.
Yeah, this is great. Good. All right, let's do grayscale.
Natural background environments. Michael Ingard says, speaking of animals, anyone know Aaron Blaze? Great channel for animal art. Yeah, Aaron Blaze is really good. He was like an animator for like Disney and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that is so good. The vines and stuff. When I was doing Jungle Comics, I pulled out every what's his name? Kubert.
Oh, right.
Book that he did for Tarzan and he did tons of that stuff, and he was so good at vines, and that's like that kind of vine work. I mean, he's a lot more detailed here, but
yeah.
It's hard to make that stuff look natural. This stuff looks very natural.
I'm starting to feel guilty that this is going so long. I hope I'm not keeping you from work. I know we both are super busy, but we're almost done. So, but we're having fun.
Yeah, this is good. No panel borders.
Yeah. Everything's full bleed. I remember an era of doing comics where it was like that, though, where I would ink people, and almost always it was like the only panel border you might deal with would be one going across the page, as opposed to like something sealing off stuff. Ryan Benjamin
Collar said, like, what do you do with that? That's
great. Did he do Venom, or am I tripping?
Like he would be a great Venom artist if he hasn't. I love that. Look at the teeth. I've gotten so literal. Like when I draw like a T-Rex, for example, like I'll draw the teeth how it is, at least as far as science knows at this point. But this is comics where you just look at the rows of razor sharp daggers. I mean, that is comics right there.
Yeah,
reality need not apply.
Yeah, right. It's just like, oh man, that's.
Adventure. A Jedi craves these things.
I don't remember these 2 pages with the rat. I don't know how I could forget this, but I don't remember that. I keep waiting. There's a double page spread that we both were like, oh, that's coming up. You'll remember it when you see it. It's like on that ship or whatever. There's like a
double page or whatever.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so good. That little bit of smoke twirls. Oh, whoa.
God damn. This looks like Barry Windsor Smith right here. The middle panel.
It does.
It has I don't know which one would it be from Weapon X?
I love tall panels like this too. He does that. Windsor Smith does that a lot too.
Yeah.
It does look a little. Yeah. What were you saying? Weapon X.
We should do some of Barry Windsor Smith's X-Men, like the one with the Storm issue and some of those. That would be pretty fun.
There's one that I always remember. It was a X-Men story that had Wolverine, and it was in Christmas or something. It was a snowstorm, and it was filled with those white snow dots everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, this is a beautiful page.
Damn. Again, this goes to he's so good at everything. This tree blind or whatever they have here, this little stand that they're up in.
Yeah.
Zoom into that. It's created out of like sticks and like.
Yeah.
And it looks so natural. That's
I'll go back
so hard to do. And he's got like the animal skin tarp over the top.
Right.
That is like so hard to do.
And this piece of weaponry, like protecting, is very, very cool too.
Oh, it looks like bones. Like maybe there's like stacked up bones around the edges.
Yeah, well, this almost looks like it could be antlers, although I don't think it is. But... Oh, this is nice too. These little prickly. I guess that's just part of the foliage next to these things. This fence that goes back is really cool too. The winding protective.
You know what it could be sometimes when you cut trees and it falls, it'll leave little spiked bits.
Right.
You know,
this guy's got little beads in his hair, or maybe it's just an indication of the dreadlock. But if you look over here, you kind of see little things.
One thing you could tell in his art that he has other interests than just comic book art, because there's some of this stuff in this page alone you just don't see in comics. You see it from National Geographic and stuff. I mean,
right. Look at the lighting on this tower from underneath is really, really kick-ass.
Yeah, it's really great.
That's really cool.
Chiaroscuro.
Yeah, totally. Oh yeah, this is good. We're getting to the ship scene. We've got probably like 5. I think there's about 5 pages left. It look like, but maybe I'm wrong. But
chanced out a little on that airplane, but it's. Oh no, it works. I was thinking of that top panel. It's a little bland, but.
Oh, this right here. Yeah. No, I see what you mean. It gets the job done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but this is towards the end, or is he like?
We're heading towards the beginning, but I'm saying I think we've only got about 5 pages left. I remember this page with the interior of the cockpit.
Interiors, man, it's no joke to put somebody sitting in an interior of like a vehicle. Oh,
it's a pain in the ass. Yeah, he was smart.
Nothing.
Yeah, he made it look easy for sure. This is really cool. I like the lighting on this. Let's see if we can.
Oh yeah, that little bit of like light pouring in.
Yeah, it's weird. It looks like a city at night, but yet they're flying during the day. So I don't know what I'm looking at, to be honest.
City at night? No, we're looking back in the back, and there's like a little bit of light coming in the window there.
It's the kid's face.
Yeah, he's holding out his hand there too.
He kind of did that weird. What did you call the lighting with a streaky light?
Yeah. Hell, I don't know. Streaky light.
Well, the one with the guys in front of the campfire where it was doing that weird thing.
Oh yeah. That's yeah.
But again, it looks like a city at night with like water right here, like a bay.
Oh yeah. No, that's like when you got atmosphere, you got like dust in the air and lights like coming in a window, and it makes those little streaks.
This is really cool. This is a Cam Kennedy vibe to me.
It does.
or like a Olivier Bottine.
Look at the construction of that machine. I mean,
dude, there's so many good parts of this. Look at this this tower right here is so badass. It's so rickety. Look at it.
You have to design that. It's no wonder he's in game design and stuff now, because that takes a lot of like thought and how you would put that together, because that doesn't exist. You had to make that up.
I know, it's so wild. This guy's face is so great. All these monsters. And then the plane, I love the way that he drew the plane here. It looks really great.
But yeah, close to that panel, but
yeah, you know what though? I think if you moved it, it wouldn't work as well. It's funny because I totally agree with you that it's a weird spot. But watch if I try to make it smaller, maybe like move it out a little. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it's trying to
much better.
Yeah, you think so? You think so?
Well, look at how the lines of the machine are. The panels at the top. You go normally one, and then you follow the plane over to the second one, and then you follow the lines from the machine down, and then the guy's over to the right again.
Now I'm gonna put the plane back. Let's see if it'll do it. Will it do it? Oh, there. So I'm doing what the fuck?
Gotta undo.
Yeah, I'm it's just Control Z, right? Or Control Alt Z? The fuck? Hold on, let me get out full screen mode for a second.
It could still be in
it's in transform mode though.
Yeah, it's still in the transform tool.
There it goes. Oh, it does look a little better kind of a way.
You got some tangent action.
Yeah, it's interesting that he left it there, but it's still cool.
Antoine Dennison says, Kelsey, that's a trebuchet. Exactly. Build the trebuchet.
Oh my God, look at this.
Oh, wow.
This is so good. Yeah, this has a very like 2000 AD sort of Cam Kennedy sort of like I can't think of the book that it was. I have the issues of some sci-fi thing he did. Had all kinds of creepy space aliens.
Spider creature designs.
It's really cool. The tribal with the spider is great. This is really cool.
He's creating like a little.
Oh man,
yeah, this is great. I like at the top panel he creates a like a proscenium.
Yeah.
There's your focus is the wall and what they're running away from, but look at how the foliage and then the creatures around the edge kind of what would you call that? Frame it.
Yeah, it's wild. Really, really crazy. It's so good. Okay, is this character right here looks very familiar to me? Is this from something?
Maybe it could be Savage Land guy. Somebody.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like it's like I'm like, was that in like the Heavy Metal movie, like or something? I don't know. Oh, we're getting close to that double page spread. It's like everyone's gonna be like, well, show us the spread, Rich. Come on. This is great with him jumping off the top of this wall.
And the directions too, like you got the angle from the top, and then the angle that he is, and the arrows and everything, and then falling off the wall.
This looks like it's from a Frazetta painting.
Thing
right here. It's like one of the Conan paintings.
Lettering is such a. He obviously was not thinking too much about the lettering,
right?
Because like hands and stuff, but the letterer, it's got to be freaking out. Like, I don't want to cover this. What am I gonna do?
Yeah, could he have? I guess he would cover up that guy's head too.
I'm always amazed at when it works out well, anyway. And this still
is this the norm for negative space on a word balloon, or like whatever you call this, like I know it's not a word balloon, but whatever they call these ones. But it seems like if they pulled it just a little bit tighter around the dialogue, that it wouldn't eat up that much art.
There's a whole list of rules for lettering that I've dipped into on occasion. It's really wild, and that's one that I cannot find. Is how close the caption can be, how far it needs to be from like a border wall. Right. Or if sometimes it butts up next to a wall, but also how the distance between the lettering and the edge of the caption wall. Like I don't know that there's as long as it's readable is kind of what I'm always thinking. But
so this is interesting. This is the same colorist that he worked with on the Punisher stuff. So clearly he liked this colorist and continued to work with her, or brought her from this to the Punisher, whichever order it went.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting little thing. This is great right here with this guy holding this dude up over his head.
A lot of times people don't have the ability to ask for, who they're working with. Like I had a relationship with Michael Ringo for a little while, and he always wanted me to color his stuff, but he could never ask for that. Like they just stuck him with whoever.
It's crazy.
So I'm wondering if this is just a coincidence, or if like he was like, yeah,
it could be. Yeah, it's interesting. Different eras of comics had. I kind of came in, and I'll call it the spoiled brat era, where we kind of, especially at Wildstorm, we were very fortunate that we could kind of manipulate teams and stuff like that to some extent, and then it just slowly sort of went away.
Eric Weathers is here. Eric letters a lot of comic books, and he says that wouldn't have been fun to letter, but he did a good job. Hate to cover any artwork.
Yeah.
I've gotten really obsessive about laying out the word balloon now,
right?
So that that doesn't happen, and it in turn it forces you to work with negative space in your composition. Because the lettering balloon is going to be there, so it's a whole new discipline.
Yeah,
cover, man. Jeez.
This was really fun. So this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking next episode, let's do the thing with the comic books where we each kind of try to surprise each other. Maybe for me, I'm going to come at it as I'm going to try to find something that I think that you're going to really, really like that maybe you haven't seen. Because I kind of know your tastes, so it'll be fun to like try to come up with something. And then you do the same. And then what I'm thinking
is a challenge, I guess.
that for our fourth episode, because that'll be our third. For our fourth, can we do Frank Frazetta? Would you let?
Yeah, dude.
Let's do a super crazy deep dive on Frank. I would love that.
We should get into his comic work, because everybody knows his painted work, but he's actually done a lot more comic work than he has painted work.
We'll spend the next 2 weeks cobbling together as big of a collection of that stuff. And if anyone is a Frazetta fan and wants to send us anything, you don't have to send it in person, but I mean, if you have files, let me know in the comment section. I'll keep an eye on it, and we can try to put together like a Frazetta. I'll tell you what is, having Kennedy as a guest yesterday, one of the people that I would really love to have on as a guest, there's three in particular, but I would love to get Sarah Frazetta on here, or William, who's his grandson that works at the museum.
Oh yeah.
Or even Frank Jr. If I could get Frank Jr. to do this show, I would fucking shit. It would be incredible. I would keep it very respectful, and just celebrate Frank's work. And he would be great, because Frank's grandkids were a little too young to really remember Frank in his prime. But man, Frank Jr., holy shit.
Yeah, I'm curious about like how much did he spend working, because I know he was kind of not necessarily an outdoorsy type, but a kind of a sportsman type. So
yeah,
I'd imagine him spending a lot of time out barbecuing and hanging out with his family and playing baseball and things like that. So I'm wondering how much time did he devote? I'm always curious about time and how artists spend time. Some are very regimented in their time and their schedules, and then others kind of play loose and fast with it. So
yeah, I mean, based on what Frank said in the Painting with Fire documentary, and people that have followed my channel for a while know that thing is like, I've literally listened to it probably, who even knows, 300, 400 times. I mean, I would put it on and just have it go over and over and over again. And Frank basically says in the documentary that he's like, I wasted all the time in the world. He's like, I like to goof around with my friends and play baseball.
Yeah, right.
And drawing was kind of like, so this is how I picture probably what went on with Frank is I think at night, when things were kind of more chill around the house, he probably would sketch a lot and draw a lot of the coffee stained pieces and a lot of the watercolors and stuff like that. And then I think that, probably once or twice a month he would have jobs, and then he would really have to knuckle down for a couple of days, or maybe 3 to 5 days, depending on what it was. This is pre-comic books, he talks about how fast he is with his paintings, but I think that a lot of the time that Frank spent preparing to do the pieces mentally, I totally believe that he could sit down and knock out a piece in 5 to 15 hours. And he
right. I got the idea that he was pretty fast.
Yeah, but my guess is that the week leading up to doing the piece, he's prevising it the whole time.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and also we need to figure out, are all artists named Frank awesome?
I'm changing my name. We'll look at the Jaguar God stuff pretty quick, but I forgot that we had one more comic, so let's just do it.
Jason Moore is in here. He's one of my inker buddies. Okay. He ask any of the Frazetta family. They are wonderful people and so helpful. I've met all three, Frank Jr., Sarah, and William, at my visits to Frazetta Museum, and they are filled with information and stories.
Right.
So they might enjoy it.
I probably would cry, honestly, is kind of as funny as that sounds, but it would really, I would be moved to have them on the channel, especially Frank Jr. I think would be incredible. William would be great too. William doesn't seem like he's online, or not William, Frank's other son. Is it William? Or is he might be Bill. Yeah, Bill and Bill Jr. But William is his grandson, I think. So anyway, but all right, so this is Taran, Jaguar God, this is Verotik, and it's cool stuff. The colors are very, like, everything looks like it's electric.
Yeah, it does. That green is so intense. I like it though. I like it.
Yeah, let's see, we could probably remove the color on this pretty easy because it's so in its own little world.
Yeah, Sheldon Martin says a lot of good artists named Eric too. That's true. There's only one great Kelsey artist, though.
I know, right? And that's nice though, because it's like if there's a British artist named Richard Friend, and I'm like, really, seriously, and he does.
Perfect. Yeah,
this will be good in black and white too.
Nice.
The colors weren't like it's the colors are weird on this piece, but I think the pink text balloons fight it more than anything else.
Yeah, that's so intense. You know, one thing about it's important to see work in black and white because, like, for instance, the woman here, there's a lot of times where I was rendering too much on women early on, and you realize that the more lines you add to a woman, the older or more rough she looks. So coloring kind of hides how little that, like, and that's a great example of how it's just an outline and a few interior lines, really.
There's a comic book penciler that I won't name that always draws eye sockets under his women's faces. Like he'll sort of indicate it, and it makes them all look like they're like 35 to 45 years old. And it's like, I'm like, I know you don't want. It's like you're trying to add detail, but it's like, don't do that one.
But there's another guy that does it. It's the first time I noticed it was I forget his name. It was not Crash McCurry. That's so good. That's Beasley, right?
No, it's Frazetta. It's Frazetta.
Oh, is it Frazetta?
Yeah. Frank did a series of pieces for Verotik, and then he got sick. But he had started doing some covers for them, and then that was when he started having the strokes. So, but Frank says in the documentary he was trying different color palettes and really was trying to make a comeback. He had been real sick. He had a thyroid condition that really fucked him up, and it went undiagnosed. So they finally got that under check, and then he started having strokes, and it was just like, man,
look at her face. That's a really animated face.
It's neat seeing this page actually without the color because it's like that little ivy right here. It's not as detailed as you would think.
I like that though. I mean, how much jungle do you really need to draw to keep reminding people they're in a jungle? You know,
right,
it's like
right.
He's having fun with this branch that she's on, and Jim Cox says, "There's a great Kelsey, a mildly all right one." Yeah.
Someone said in the stream, I think you probably saw it, was like you were getting dry humped with like deadlines or something like that. Or no, it was funny.
I like the pressure.
Crazy. Oh my god,
that's intense, man.
This looks like a Rob Zombie record cover or something.
It does.
It's like House of the Thousand.
Look at this. Are those veins or is that stuff all over him?
I think they look like scars, both scars and veins. It's like he's getting super juiced by the voodoo magic or something. Yeah, this is very like very I don't know what that's like a lowbrow like rat fink art or something with that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
I got a big kick out of these Verotik books. Actually, I mean,
yeah. There was
and they weren't great, but they were ballsy. I was like, I appreciated that. I was like, oh, it's nice to see some like adult rock and roll kind of
for show.
Yeah.
All right, let me grayscale it. Grab from right here and see if I can do
that. That's a big ass right there.
yeah. It's a Frazetta butt. Neil Adams says that's the kind of ass he likes on a girl.
Yeah.
That documentary says it.
And Neil Adams?
Neil said that he goes a lot of people think Frank draws big butts. He goes, but he's like, if you know the anatomy on a woman, he's like that's muscle. He's like that's the kind of butt I like to see on a woman.
That's not very progressive of him.
Oh, isn't it? No, I'm clueless.
I'm just kidding. Just taking the piss out of him a little bit.
Yeah.
This is God, man. There's no half-assing it with Frank, man. He's just like, I'm all or nothing. I mean, usually I don't.
So awesome.
I mean, I don't think I would crap out on a job just because it was Verotik, but I can imagine, like when you see guys doing the Penthouse comics, for instance, some of those guys weren't doing their best.
Yeah.
A payday, but if Frank Teran did it, he'd probably go to town.
I call it like leaving behind gems or leaving behind turds. I have some turds. I had some friends that would do that, where like they would take like a pinup and a book, and then they would just, they would crank it out real fast. And I was like, man, I'm like, think of like how fun it is when you see like you grab an old Marvel comic and there's a Kevin Nolan pinup in the back, and you go, oh man, I've never seen this piece before. And it's so good. Michael Golden and even Mignola too. Well, like back in the day, and those guys were leaving behind gems. They were these little hidden nuggets of kick-ass art that when you found it, you were going to be real excited. And then some are like, you're like, what was the point of even doing it?
Yeah.
This is really good. It's funny. This pose looks very familiar to me, but I can't place it. It could just be a coincidence, but it reminds me of something.
Well, my mind, when I see the Jaguar God, I always go to Ralph Bakshi and Frazetta's cartoon, Fire and Ice.
Yeah,
that basically is Jaguar God in that movie without being Jaguar God.
Right.
But it's the same guy, so that pose kind of reminds me of something I've seen in that movie.
This story isn't too long. That's awesome.
Some of the coloring actually works really well in this. It's really garish, but it captures the different lighting planes.
Yeah. I don't remember who colored this. We'll see if the credits
it makes no sense that there's a blue background and then a red underlighting on the hands, but the contrast is there and the lighting is all, it works.
Is he like this hand? Is he holding a skull, or what is like this is a skull, right?
Maybe he's got skull boxing gloves.
Oh, okay. I think that's what it is. Man, that's nice. So I wonder if this is like the spine wrapping around his forearm.
If that's the way it is, that would be funny.
Yeah, it's pretty badass.
Fire and Ice is going to be remastered on Blu-ray soon. I already have it on Blu-ray. They're doing it again? I'll have to check that out. I'm a huge Bakshi fan. Man, look at the extreme faces.
That's crazy.
That's so wild. My brain would, as I was drawing that, my brain would say, this is wrong. I would have to force myself to like let myself do this kind of stuff.
I bought a bunch of blank skateboard decks about 2 months ago, and I've penciled all the drawings that I want to do on them. And I did a wizard face that was kind of like proportions like this. He's not making a face like this, but it was one of those things where I was just like, is it too much? Is it not enough? And honestly, most of the time it's not enough. Like you have to go like all in, because like sort of like decent structure with sort of like exaggerated features, it just doesn't. It's like you go crazy when you're gonna do that sort of stuff.
You kind of have to go all or nothing, man. You have to go halfway. Just ends up being boring.
Yeah, it's just not cool enough. This is a
Hey,
really
Jason Moore says Frank Teran is on Instagram. He doesn't have a lot of posts though. His style has changed slightly, but still recognizable as his work.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to look for that. Do you know? Is it just under Frank Teran?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really cool.
Antoine Dennison said Kevin Nolan did some incredible work on Scion for Penthouse Comics. At least that's the first few issues. Yeah, actually, the whole thing he did is brilliant. It's such a good story.
So it's interesting. He's getting, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, so I apologize. That he's getting that stippled white effect. So do you think this is a razor blade that's doing these lines?
I have honestly never understood how you get those. And all the work I've ever seen going back through the freaking 80s or whatever.
Yeah.
That looks like white.
That looks like digital to me, right?
I think the blur and the background is making, I don't know, man. But I've always heard that was done with a razor. We're going to speak about what the actual technique you're talking about is. I don't know what this is done with, but
right.
That technique where you get the way they used to do the reins, like Frank Miller, you see him used to do it. That was done with a razor blade, right?
Right.
Now,
like a real razor blade, like the ones that look like they're like a little rectangle.
Now, what is the technique? Have you done it?
You take it on the side and you flick it across the paper. I tried to do it. It's funny. I had done a Misfits like punk band like kind of flyer one time, and I wanted to have razor blade marks across it, and I tried to do it with like an X-Acto blade, and all it did was cut the paper. Like it literally put like a big cut in the paper.
Well, I'm always wondering, is it like a property of like the textured paper? Does it have to be a slightly damp ink? You know,
right. I think it's got to be like rougher paper, like a little bit of tooth on the paper. Definitely, I think would be advantageous. I mean, the best bet is just to sit and experiment with it and see.
I'd be too afraid of like messing up hours worth of work.
You would have to just do dummy tests, meaning like not on your art, but like just, you know what I mean? Take like rough board, take smooth board, try it with the ink wet, try it with
even that, when I grabbed I love splatter and I pull that out and I know that I'm going to get drops on places that I don't want. I end up having to white it out, but it's just like you got to take a deep breath and go, this could ruin everything, but let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
Or especially when you grab a brush with loaded ink and you go, you know, and you just slap a slice of, you know, black splatter across it. You just have to pray for the art gods to be on your side.
Yeah. What did we look at in the last video? And there was the shadow on the, it was Gerardo.
Yeah.
Gerardo. It was he had the black shadow over the one guy's head, and it was like the same thing where we were saying that, like, it's like, man, when you take black ink and put a big swatch of it over a head of hair,
balls of steel, man. That's, to me, like, that is the mark where I'd want to get now. I used to have that boldness, and the computer, I lost a lot of it because you can always undo and whatever.
Right.
And then I'm too tentative now when I go back to like art. So I'm trying to just do pieces that no one's going to see, and just like, you know, they're crappy, and just getting used to the tools again and getting bold.
I want to show people something really quick here that I see a lot of people learning to draw kind of make a mistake on. So I'm going to point out really fast. So do you see this curly cue of hair right here?
Yeah.
I think for an untrained eye, you may think that this is like a side view, that like this piece of hair is coming down like this and it wraps around like this, and it almost is doing that. But this is what it's really doing. And I want you guys to feel this shape that I'm going to put it in so that you can understand that this piece of hair is actually coming out towards you, and it sits in a perspective grid. It's really important because I'll see people draw hair and everything is a side view of the hair. But do you see how this oval, it's coming towards us and it's going away from us into the thing, and it's going away from us and it's coming back towards us? That's what it's doing. Now watch when I pull this out. You can see it as a side view, but that is not a side view. That's a form in three-dimensional space, and it's real subtle, but that will help you have more dynamic looking hair.
Yeah, it's just, he's in such command over his volume and shape language. I mean, look at his chin right there, and how the texturing and the shadowing is defining the the depth of that. I mean, there's a lot of depth there.
See if the colorist caught that. No, they just did a flat color. It's not. When it's not even catching. Actually, you know what? I have to say, I actually really like the colors down here quite a bit.
They're capturing the lighting that he's doing. It's not great color choices, but they're paying attention to what he's doing, and that's really what you need to do.
That's a fantastic panel, man. Whew, that's really cool.
Yeah, a lot of depth.
This is great.
Man, it just makes me want to, like, all this stuff that we've been looking at. I know we were talking about how we've done rough. We need to maybe get into some clean.
Yeah.
What I like about the rough stuff is that there's a purity to it. You know, when you're it reminds me of when I was a kid and I'd grab a sheet of paper and then just start drawing, and you just work your way through it, and whatever exists on the paper is from your heart, you know, in a way. And I think that Taran is a guy that works from the heart a lot. I think he works from the mind. I think he has a solid foundation, but
this is beautiful right here. This is so good.
I think largely he's working from the gut, you know.
Yeah. This is amazing right here. And then he kind of loses me here just a little bit. It's fine, but it's a like you see this so much that you don't realize how, like, this looks like something out of a Frazetta drawing almost. Her butt's a little crooked. And then he does it again here. This pose of her running is gorgeous. Look at this. They look
like those little TNA sketch watercolor paintings that Frazetta did with the girl. Like, there's like one where she's got like running away from a pig or something, and another one and sitting in like a wash tub.
Right. But yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Those boobs are out of control, though. Man, she's got some meaty rib cage going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, this is great too. Let's see this in grayscale. Actually, I'm kind of curious to see.
Yeah, I mean, his anatomy is not super great, but it doesn't matter. It's like what I said about Frank McFarlane, where he's like, I can't draw the most realistic trash can, but I can draw the coolest. I mean, this gets you to the gut. You're like, I don't really care that she's drawing perfect.
He's doing the rain effect again. This looks like it's in the line art.
Which makes me wonder how the hell that color separated all that stuff for the the blurry background. This to me feels like he's doing it with the whiteout pen. I think he can get a similar effect with that.
Yeah, like a Pentel, like
that where you squeeze it. Yeah. I've seen guys do that. I only say that because a lot of that rain has a bloopy tip to it.
Look at this panel right here. Oh, we got to go grayscale for this. This is freaking so cool. Oh my god,
so intense. He's really good at the grimacing face, man.
Man, that is nuts. Okay. God dang. Pulled it a little tight. Got a little carried away.
I hate colors that blur stuff. Don't blur anything.
I'm not a big fan of blur either. It's like as an inker, I don't what would you call it? Like, I'm not a squeaky wheel or whatever. So it's like shut
just
my mouth.
Use color to separate. You can do it all with color, and you don't need a blur tool. I hate to spend all this time on something somebody just blurted out. Like, what are you?
I know. Motherfuckers. No,
that looks so good though. I mean, the depth of just the hair in front of the face and stuff.
Her boobs here are funny. They're totally out of perspective. Like,
what's up with his lady game, man? He needs to up his lady game.
This is a great gesture, though. Him flicking away the dagger or whatever is like awesome. This arm is great.
This is a character I would kill to have created. I could do years worth of Jaguar God comics. I could just draw this all day long, like that. Maybe I should.
It's possible.
Make a name Grog or something.
Right. Well, don't forget what I mentioned to you.
Oh yeah.
Don't talk about it though. But
I already forgot.
Oh, you don't remember? Seriously?
Maybe. You'll have to refresh my memory later.
I'll remind you later. This is cool.
Look at the shadows on the leg. Is that part of the color? It's too dark. You probably wouldn't be able to tell.
A little bit like he took like a Prismacolor pencil and did a little bit of it. It's hard to say. It could be the color. No, that looks like it's in the line art. You see, it looks like he took a little emoji pencil because you can kind of see he used it a little bit over here too.
That's pretty ballsy. Nice shadow.
He might have been channeling a tiny bit of Frazetta, and I'm not saying that up here is like wash or anything like that, but this could have been diluted ink that he used just on a few little spots. These butterflies are great too. I like this little effect here.
Yeah.
Very loose. This is a nice upshot.
See, then look at the silhouette with those little the little hat things, tassels.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Look at what are those? Are those pterodactyls? One of them's flying in front of him. What is that?
They're like little moths or butterflies, I think.
Okay.
Like woodland insects.
I'm still thinking of the Khazar.
Right. And here we got it running. Ooh, I like this panel right here.
Yeah, some of that weird blurring going on.
So I'd be curious. There's an artist that has worked in American comics now for a long time, Marcelo Frusin. Do you know Frusin's work?
Oh yeah.
So Frusin draws like this. Frusin did these European. God damn it, what's going on? That was weird. So the first time that I saw Frusin's work was I bought these. He did these crazy black and white European graphic novels about a boxer. Have you ever seen those? And the guy on a motorcycle.
Let me see.
I can't think of the name of it. I have two graphic novels that he did that are so freaking good. It's so dark and it's so Bisley and Taran and like Martin Imon kind of looking stuff. It's really good.
Yeah,
they were either for like a Spanish publisher or something like that. I don't think they're even European. I think that they're maybe, I'm not sure where he's from exactly.
Yeah, he's done so much work. It's kind of hard to.
One of them has there's like it's a yellowish cover with like a superhero guy sort of standing like this with like blue hair and I think like a yellow and orange costume. The interiors are all black and white though, but it's crazy shit. It's so good, man.
Yeah, I'll have to find that because all I'm seeing is like Kick-Ass, Hellblazer, and Loveless.
Right. Yeah, it was before that.
American stuff. Yeah, I love those. My favorite of those guys. Wow. I love the Croatians.
He may have blurred this himself. This almost looks like he took a photocopy or like put it in a copier and switched it.
Look at that.
That's like the Bacalo technique. And then maybe he pasted this down. This could be a paste up right here.
See, that actually looks really good. There's the directional blur. It has the correct effect there. Yeah.
He might have set that on a photocopy, and as it was scanning, it just moved it just a.
Well, if you notice, it's completely the branches and everything are completely separate from the background, like a paste up.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I done that and then pasted it up.
We're reverse engineer masters here. And I love this guy walking is really, really cool, or whatever he's doing, running, and he's got his skull boxing glove on.
I love side shots like this. I'm a real sucker for theatrical staging, which is why I like Mignola a lot because he does everything. But I know that there's a huge backlash against flat, perspectives because it's kind of permeating our books today. So I'm a sucker for when it's done right.
Mignola is I've said in many videos he's like in my top 3 favorite comic book artists. I think Frank Miller, and Brian Travis are my 3 like favorites, and then it's kind of free for all after that. But
Golden Mignola and
good Mignola is just it's hard to beat.
Sylvester probably those guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
that's good. Good lighting on this shadowing.
Frazetta is like my number 1, but Frank to me is beyond comics, so it's like
I honestly don't include guys like Frazetta in my like lists because he's like he is like I don't know. It's like going I'm gonna be like God when I grow up. I mean, it's just not. He's not unto himself. You can be like unto Frazetta maybe, but never Frazetta.
So let's get super geeky on Frazetta for 1 second, but we won't go too far into it. So in your opinion, okay, we're at the end of the video, so we can kind of wrap it up. I'll get out of share screen mode, and they can look at our pretty faces like this. So what, like,
hey, Mike's here. Hey, Mike.
What's up, guys? So what do you think it is about Frazetta that puts him so? Is it that he took fantasy and was just able to do so much with it, or like what puts him in such a unique category of artists from that time period, or what, like, how do you even explain it?
I often wonder that. I think he has, for one thing, there's a visceral quality of stuff. It's you can feel the intensity when you're looking at his people, and you can see that they're straining. There's a lot of times when you see painters and stuff, or artists, it's just a figure standing there, and when Frazetta does it, you could see that there's tension behind it. So immediately you're like, why is he so tense? Why is it? I don't know. There's a natural storytelling equivalent to, or a level to it, and then the subject matter also that he tended to focus on is, very, very straight up guy fantasy stuff,
right? Would he get canceled? Would he get canceled today?
Maybe. I'm wondering, like that would be fascinating, because he was very much like a guy's guy. Like he's that friend of yours that you probably would like to be. He's a good looking guy, all the girls like him, super talented. He's a real bastard.
There's those real famous pictures of him and Clint Eastwood, and they look like they're maybe in their 30s or something like that. It's like Frank is actually looks more like the movie star than Clint Eastwood, and Clint is like such an iconic look. But it's like which one's the movie star?
Yeah, that picture was a little shocking, because Frazetta's got perfect hair. He looks like a movie star, but he's one of those anomalies. Like Travis is another guy, great hair.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he's just one of those. There's every once in a while you'll hit someone that, like, I don't know, they just push all the buttons for whatever reason, and they're not, when you really dig into it. Like, I've really dug into Frazetta, and you can see the flaws. You can see like in the books, in his comic work, there's anatomy issues here and there. But it doesn't matter. You take it in as this visceral sort of thing. Same thing with McFarlane. There's anatomy issues all over the place, but nobody cares. He just grabs you somehow, and I think that's a real lesson to, like, when you're learning how to do this stuff. It's like, it's a good idea to learn all this stuff, learn some anatomy and things like that, but it's really about the gut check you're giving to the reader. It's really about how you're grabbing their attention, because if you're not, what's the point? And something about Frazetta, just, I don't know what it is. He grabs your attention.
That's what they talk about that in the beginning of the documentary. Okay, so we'll wrap it up now, because we'll save all the Frazetta geekery for our Frazetta super show. I can't believe how long we went. I thought our goal was to do 40 minutes.
Taran deserved it. So
he finally got his shining moment.
Yeah, there you go. God bless you, Frank.
Thank you so much, Kelsey, for doing this. I really appreciate it, and it was fun. Thank you, everyone that came by. We really appreciate you guys supporting it, and
that was fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Now I need to go on a hunt for an artist to surprise you.
You've got a week. You can kick it around. There's a lot of stuff that I haven't seen. There's a lot.
Yeah. I'm gonna go for something clean though. Clean art. No script scratchy.
Yeah, we were both talking about that we've focused a lot on the real gritty art. So we want to try to, like, the next video, we want to mix it up and kind of go to the other side, which is, technically accurate and stuff where you go, oh man, that guy's crazy. Like, how is the feathering? So
yeah, totally. Hey, well, real quick, since you're wrapping this up, you should really plug your mailing list to get on for Blaster Kid.
Good job for remembering that. Yeah, so pre-launch page for Blaster Kid is up. We're actually creeping up on almost 300 people signed up for the pre-launch. So I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but I'm really happy with the number. I would love to see it go up higher, but I think 300 is a really, really good start for, I've never done a crowdfunded book, and the heat will grow as we show more art. I think that the more that we show of what we're working on, people are going to really step up and be excited about this project, because I think it's something special.
You don't even have the link in the description of the video. Come on, man.
I'll put it up. I'll put it up in just a second. As soon as this is over, I'll go edit the comments section. I know I'm still learning. This is only my second live stream. I'm learning. Be my teacher.
Yeah, you got to plug the books. That's what I'm learning from everybody. You got to make sure to get it in there.
Well, we finished the stream last week, and both of us were like, did we ever mention Blaster Kid? I don't know. But just goes to show, we really just genuinely wanted to do a conversation about comics, because we were having so much fun talking on the phone about art that it was like, hey,
oh, there's a lot of good stuff to go over.
Oh, there is.
We scratching the surface. Yeah, and you've done tons of videos, and I keep thinking, oh, what about this guy? What about this guy?
You can always, anyone that's really good, you can always revisit too. It's no one ever gets bored with it. I could have 50 videos up of some stuff and no one would care. No one goes back and looks at the old stuff anyway, or very few people do, honestly. So that's another thing.
Oh, good. We'll have to get into some Golden again, because I can talk about him endlessly. He's one of my guys.
I mean, to me, I feel like all my Golden videos have been kind of just surface level. Like I haven't gotten really into it, but we could do those Jackie Chan, the black and white Jackie Chan books.
Yeah.
I'll snap photos from my comics of those, but I'm nearly sure I have all of those.
I have all the portfolios as well. The Jurassic Park and the good stuff.
Okay, all right. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it. I'm going to get to work. What are you going to do?
I'm going to go get something to eat. I'm starving.
I am. Actually, I haven't ate all day. It's later for you than it is for me. But yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to just end the broadcast, so we don't need to chat after.
All right. Hey, thanks, everybody.
Okay. All right. See you guys later. I'll talk to you later. I'll shoot you a note later or something.
All right.
Okay. Cool, all right.